Lordy, Lordy, I am late. Are we live? I had to hit my lips one more time. A little ashy. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Are we live? Are we live? Sorry I'm late, guys. I decided at the last minute to move from where I was originally set up because the lighting wasn't good and I couldn't reach the cord for my lighting situation that I have behind me. So I had to move real quick at the last minute. So my apologies. My apologies. But Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Happy what are the other holidays that are celebrated? I want to be all inclusive around here. I cannot believe 2023 is almost over. It feels like yesterday when I resigned from my job last year. Because y'all know I resigned in 2022. And I'm like, wow, it's been a whole year. It's been a whole year of embracing freedom. This is my first full year of early retirement. I can't believe it. Just the thought of it just makes me so giddy. It makes me so happy. But this year, I took my own curated around the world tour. I visited 10 countries. Well, 9 if you don't count the United States. But I count it because I wasn't living in the United States when the year started. But I visited 9 countries, but 10 if you count the United States. And I went around the world just fulfilling all of my life's dreams, just marking off experiences from my bucket list that I had been wanting to do for years, but for various reasons, mainly work, I wasn't able to do it. But girl, I embraced that freedom in 2023 and I was like, let's do this. And I was just marking off things on my list, just marking off things on my list. And I had such a wonderful time. But some of the questions that I received throughout the year, I wanted to talk about them tonight as I do my year end travel recap, I guess you can call it. But some of the questions I've been asked: where did I go? And if you follow me on Instagram, you probably already know most of the places I've been. On Instagram, I'm also Money Coach Malika. Was it safe for Black women? That's usually a very, very popular question I get. People always wish me safety when I'm flying to the next destination. What country did I love the most? And what country did I not like that much? Some of these countries were scouting trips for me. I was checking them out, not on vacation, but deciding if this is a place I could live. And I'll share the answers to all of those questions, as well as whether I think I could live there when we talk tonight. Oh, and how could I forget this one? The big question, the biggie that almost everyone asks me. How much did I spend to travel around the world for a whole year? I'm going to share the exact number. So make sure you watch until the end so you can hear how much I spent to travel for a full year. All right, let's talk about it. Y'all ready? Oh, wait. Let me say hi to my friends. Let me say hi to my best. I'm so excited, ready to get into it. I forgot to say hi to y'all. Let's see. Eileen, hey girl, hey. Shout out to all my channel members. Which reminds me, the first members only live is going to be next Friday at 8 p.m. I'm going to do it immediately after the regular live ends. And in this video, I'm going to share all the places I've been, and answer all the questions I just mentioned. And I'll share how much I spent. But in the members only live, I'm going to pull back the curtains and show you the details. And I'm also going to share how I planned to have the money to travel for a year. I'll share that with the members only. And if you want to join the members only live, join the channel membership by clicking the join button right below this video. But for my financial besties and the financial besties VIP, I will see you all next Friday after the regular live, and we'll get into the nitty gritty of these numbers. Y'all know I got all the details because I track everything. I'm a spreadsheet nerd. I track every dime. So I can answer all of your questions. If you're planning a sabbatical, if you're planning to retire early, if you want to slow travel or bop around, go to multiple places instead of planting your feet in one place, I'll share what I did, how I travel, and we can make sense of the number that I'll share tonight. All right. Good to see you, Eileen. Hello, Miss B. How are you? How you doing? How you been? Elle, what's up, girl? Hey, girl, hey. Janella's in the house. Hey, Janella. Positively Prill. Hey, girl, hey. Let's see, Greta. Miss Greta King is with us tonight. All right, BJ Jack. I feel so loved tonight. I feel so loved. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate y'all. I appreciate y'all. Shalonda. Hey, Shalonda. Hey, financial besties. I look forward to breaking bread with you in the members only live next weekend. So good to see you. Vicky Girl travels the world. My girl, Adelia. Hey, girl. Hey. The U.S. counts as a country you visited. Thank you. Thank you. Let's see who else is here. Leslie Williams. Hey, Leslie. How you doing? Tamika. Hey, girl. What's up, financial bestie? I don't know. No, Tamika, you're not a member of the channel, but you're in my coaching program. Hey, girl. Hey. Let's see, Hilda. Hey, Hilda. How you doing? How you been? What's up, y'all? And Sashana. And if I mispronounce anybody's name wrong, please correct me. I am not above being corrected. I do not like it when people mispronounce my name because I feel like a person's name is the most beautiful sound to your ears. So if I say your name incorrectly, please correct me because I would like to say it properly if I understand how to say it. But anyway, if you are new to me, hey girl, hey to you too. My name is Malika and I am a money coach and I'm also the founder of my coaching company, Fabulous Financials. As I always share, my financial journey started as a single mother on welfare. And I was on welfare for almost 10 years until I learned how to invest in the stock market and make money babies. But by investing in the stock market, I built a multi-7-figure investment portfolio, achieved financial independence, and resigned from my job last year. But this year, I have fulfilled, I will say all, because I still have a few left that I'll probably get to in 2024. But I have fulfilled the top list of my bucket list dreams. I went into this year fully embracing freedom and I absolutely love it. But I want the same for you. So through my coaching company, Fabulous Financials, I help other women like you learn to invest with ease so you can achieve financial independence and live whatever you love. On this channel, we discuss investing, we discuss personal finance, and we discuss financial independence. And sometimes I share some of my experiences on that journey as well. So if this is of interest to you, I'm not going to get tongue-tied tonight, y'all. Let me slow down. If this is of interest to you, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. Go ahead and hit that button down there. subscribe to the channel and turn on that notification bell too, because that will make sure that you are notified the next time I upload a new video or go live, which in 2024, I am committing to uploading at least one video a week in addition to the live. I was about to tell a lie. I am not going to overcommit myself while I'm trying to be free, but I have hired some help. So I hope I will be able to commit to that, posting at least one additional video per week in addition to the live. But if that's of interest to you and you choose to subscribe to the channel so you can get that new video, welcome. Welcome to my tribe. I am so glad you are here. Now, for those who are not live but may watch the replay, hey girl, hey to you too. Y'all know, whether you're live or whether you're watching a replay, I appreciate you equally. So leave a comment for me and drop those money babies so I'll know that you were here. But anyway, let's get into it now. My first year of freedom, 10 countries. Where did I go? Was it safe for Black women? And this is all my opinion, of course, all my opinion. Which country did I love? Which country did I hate? You know, I'm not going to say hate. Which country did I dislike and will never return to? And the biggie, how much did I spend for 1 year of travel? All right, let's kick it off. Let's kick it off. Oh, I got some more of my financial besties from the Sista Circle in the house. Hey, Kimberly. Hey, girl. Hey. Oh, we got some trolls already. We're not doing that tonight. We're not doing that tonight. Yes, ma'am, Sashana. I most certainly will share a video probably in January about my 2024 bucket lists and travels. I most certainly can. But let's get into what I did in 2023. What did I do in 2023? If y'all went somewhere interesting in 2023, drop them in the chat. Let me know. I might have to put it on my list in 2024 if I've never been. But in 2023, I started the year in Mexico. I moved to Mexico right after I resigned. So it had to be around October-ish timeframe. Moved to Mexico, got my residency. I got permanent residency in Mexico. I just thought that was going to be my place. I thought I was going to plant my feet and live my best life because I love Mexico. I still do. And I do plan to go back one day because I have permanent residency. So that's my second home. But I started the year in Mexico. So I was in Mexico from January, February, and early March. The beginning of March is when I left. And I did a video already on why I left Mexico. I will link it. I've been having trouble with linking my cards lately. I got inquiry into YouTube support. They're researching it for me because they can't figure out what's wrong either. But I will try to link it somewhere, the video on why I left Mexico. So I won't get into the details here. But I was in Mexico January and February. Would I say Mexico is safe for Black women? Absolutely. Absolutely. Please do not believe the propaganda that the U.S. media feeds you about Mexico. There are certain parts of Mexico that are not safe, just like there's certain parts of the United States that's not safe. But in the areas of Mexico where I visited, I was living in Merida, Mexico. I also visited Guadalajara, Mexico. I also visited Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. I also visited, where else was I in Mexico? Those areas I named, I stayed there the longest while I was there. But I also visited a few other places. And everywhere I went, never, ever once did I feel unsafe. Okay? So Mexico is most certainly safe for Black women. Did I love it? I like Mexico a lot. I did not love where I was living. I did not love Merida, Mexico, because Merida is hot. I shared all the details and all the reasons why I left, but that was the first and the most important reason. By the time I left Merida in March, it was already in the mid to upper 90s. And around May ish, it far exceeds 100. Now imagine 100-degree temperatures with humidity on top of that. Girl, it was a no for me. So, no, I did not love Merida, Mexico, but there are a lot of things I like about Mexico, especially the culture, the kindness of the people. And there are certain places where I will probably go back to and visit again, and then also places that I've never been to before that I may check out one day. Um, the first states that come to mind that I've never been to before that I may check out one day is Mexico City. I've heard a lot of wonderful things about Mexico City, so I may visit there. And I also want to visit San Miguel de Allende. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but I also want to visit there. I've heard a lot of wonderful things about there as well. But January, February, and the first part of March, I was in Mexico, had a wonderful time. In March, when I left Mexico, I came to the United States. But I came to the United States for a very special reason. Hey, I came to the United States to see my absolute favorite artist in the world, Usher, baby. I went to Vegas to see Usher in concert, and our seats was right there at the stage. And I don't care what nobody say. I swear, Usher was singing directly to me. I got video proof that he was singing directly to me. At least that's what it felt like. That was the most I have ever spent on a concert ticket in my life. And it was worth every penny. It was so worth every penny. I wanted to go see him again. When I found out that he was in Paris, because I think when he started his tour in Paris, I was in Spain or London. We'll get into that. I was looking up flights, trying to see how I can get to Paris to see Usher again. Girl, that man is fine. And he will be on my bucket list again in 2024. For those of you who asked about my 2024, seeing Usher. I know his residency in Vegas is over, but wherever he is in the world, I will be there in 2024. Yes, ma'am. But after I left Vegas, I went to California. I went to California to visit my great, is she my great aunt? No, she's not she's just my aunt. Oh my goodness. If she's watching this, she gonna get me. She gonna get me. My father's sister, my father's oldest sister. And I was thinking great aunt because she is the oldest. I think she's 70. I don't want to say, because I don't want to say she's older than what she really is. And she really gonna get me. But I went to California to visit my aunt. And the reason why I went to California to visit her is because I realized that when I was working, I really didn't see a lot of my family. I was always working, and I lived here in the DMV area, and my family is in the South. My family is on the West. I have family all over, and I rarely saw them. If I went home for the holidays, I probably saw some of them then, but I rarely saw my family. So I wanted to be intentional about reconnecting with family, especially the elders. Especially the elders. I wanted to be intentional about reconnecting with my family now that I have freedom. I have time freedom. I have location freedom. There's no excuse for me not to see the people that I love the most. And spending that time with her, I think I was in California with her. Was it? But at least a week. I'm thinking 2 weeks, but I know for sure at least a week. And that time I spent with her, it was so precious. It was so special. I just love, do y'all have that auntie or that grandma, if you're still blessed to have your grandma, where her skin is so soft? Like, girl, what they be using? Her skin, my auntie's skin is just so soft. I love laying in her bed. And when I'm with her, I just feel like little Malika all over again. It's like I love laying in her bed. She has long hair. I love when she lets me play in her hair. I love combing her hair. I love smelling her. I love being all on her dresser, looking in all her stuff, all her perfumes, all her smell good, all the stuff that little kids do. When I'm around her, I just turn into little Malika all over again. She has an orange tree, and I'm reminiscing now. She has an orange tree, actually several orange trees in her backyard. And we went in the backyard and we picked oranges off the tree. And then we brought them inside and we made fresh orange juice from scratch. She strained because I don't like orange juice with the pulp in it. So she strained the pulp out for me. And it was just such a precious moment. And just thinking about it, it makes me smile. And the thought of that and the memory of it is just as high as some of my experiences when I traveled, because I'm glad I spent that time with her. I'm really glad I spent that time with her. And I will see her again in 2024. But it was a beautiful experience, a memory that I will hold near and dear to me, my dad's oldest sister. But yeah, spent time with my auntie in California and absolutely loved it. But before I move on to April, this is when I left the country again. I'm going to see where you all have been. Let me see. Ooh, you guys been to some interesting places. Ghana, Luxembourg, Greece, Japan, South Korea, Netherlands, and Italy. Wow, I love it. I love it. I love that I have a community of investors and travelers. I have found my people. Yes. Let's see. I've never been to Luxembourg. I've never been to South Korea. They're going to be on my list. I've never been to Greece, but I am going to Greece in the summer. I have a cruise, a Mediterranean cruise that I'm going on with one of my aunties, another one of my aunties. This is my father's baby sister that I'll be traveling with next summer. So yes, I've been spending a lot of this time that I have free just connecting with my family, connecting more with my family. Let's see, Sashana, she went to Thailand, Qatar, and Taiwan. I've never been to Qatar. How was that? I might need to put that on my list. I've been wanting to go. I have only been to Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Oman. I'm trying to think what else in that area, but I've never been to Qatar. Taiwan, I've only been to Taiwan on a layover. I think I had a layover in Taiwan on my way to the Philippines, but I've never been to Taiwan either. Awesome, awesome. Some good places I need to add to my list. Let's see. Where else have y'all been? Hey, Chevy the Goat, I see you. And Hilda, I see you added Mexico. Okay. So, Shauna, what part of you're going to Mexico for the first time? Awesome. Going to Mexico City and going to have a museum taco. Ooh, tell me about the taco tour. Tell me about that. That reminds me, there is a tequila tour that I want to go on. Me and Adelia was talking about going together. I want to do the tequila. It's a tequila train that goes from somewhere to Guadalajara, or either from Guadalajara to Tequila. Is Tequila a city in Mexico? Y'all let me know. I might be jacking it up. I don't know, but I want to do the tequila tour. But a taco tour sounds good too. I want to go on a taco tour. Not before 10. Hey, girl, hey. Yes, y'all talking about Usher. I think that was my highlight of 2023. If I didn't do nothing else, kicking off my year after I left Mexico with an Usher concert, girl, I was winning. I have won the year because I saw Usher in concert. I love that man. I love that man. Positively Prill says she went to Mexico and Jamaica. Awesome. Awesome. So try to spend money to see the Grace if you can afford to. I still regret not going to see Celine Dion. Oh, you know what? I regret not seeing Michael Jackson in concert. And I also regret not seeing Prince in concert. So I agree with you. If you can afford it, go see the greats. Go see the greats because the experience is worth every dime. A days. Okay, we can still go cool beans. Cool beans. Let's make that happen next year. I know we've been talking about it for a while. Let's make it a priority and make it happen. So tequila is a city. Okay, cool beans. I'm excited. Let's see. Just returned from my birthday trip, Leslie. Just returned from my birthday trip and had an opportunity to visit Rio de Janeiro. Okay, Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, and Peru. Awesome. So you were in South America, Central and South America area, which is I'll share that later. I'll share that later. A lot of the places you mentioned are on my list for 2024. Okay, the taco tour is just something I'm putting together myself. Okay, based on a bunch of internet lists. All right, get it, girl. Oh, you saw Patti LaBelle. About 2 weeks ago. That was money well spent. And saw Janet this year. Child, I have seen Patti LaBelle in concert too. She is amazing. These icons, we have to give our icons their flowers while they're still here. Yes. I know that was a good concert. I enjoyed Patti. I really did. And Leslie, wherever you can find him, go. Go. Soon as the tickets drop, just buy it. I could be your financial coach. I give you a 1-hour session to help you find the money in your budget. Like, I'm serious. I am serious. You will not regret it. It is worth every dime. Every dime. If you're an Usher fan, every dime. And me and my friend, we knew the lyrics to every song. And the ones that we didn't know the lyrics to, we were making them up. I think it was only one out of his whole set. It was only one that I wasn't familiar with. I regret not seeing Michael and Whitney. Yes. I did get a chance to see Whitney in concert. I'm so thankful that I did. I'm so grateful for that. Because there isn't a singer alive that can touch Miss Whitney Houston. Not a one. Not a one. But Michael, I regret that too. I've seen all his shows and TV and movie and all the things that, they show us in media, but I've never seen him in concert. And I so regret it. Michael and Whitney. So yeah, won't make that mistake again. Mexico, Thailand, Qatar. Oh, another Qatar. Do I need to put Qatar on my list, y'all? Or is it Qatar? Is it Qatar or Qatar? Marrakesh and Lisbon. Okay. Awesome. I don't have it on my list, but I did spend 2 days in Lisbon because it was a layover with the flight that I booked. But I don't have it on my list because I've been to Lisbon several times before and I didn't do too much. So it's 11 countries if you had Portugal, but I don't have that on my list. But to see Stevie Wonder, he's on my bucket list. Awesome. Miss Patty, Miss Usher, fans in the comments. Anita, hey girl, hey. You went from the US to Cape Town just to see an art exhibit. Nice. 200 works, 100 artists, 26 countries, all from Africa. Ooh. What is that still ongoing or was that a temporary exhibit? if it's still ongoing, what museum was that? Can you share the name? Because I have a few friends that are going to South Africa in a couple of months, and they may be interested in that exhibit, all from the African diaspora. That sounds beautiful. I remember seeing some of the pictures that you posted on your Instagram. Yes, that sounds like a whole vibe. Let's see, Adelia. Cutter. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Adelia. Okay. So Cutter sounds like a popular place. A popular place. Let's see. All right. oh, it was a temporary exhibit. Okay. It was temporary. It's closed and moved on. It was called When We See Us. Oh, that sounds like it was amazing. Hopefully it'll come back. Hopefully it'll come back. But all right, let's get back to my list and cover a few more, and then I'll check the comments again. But in April, I went to Costa Rica. In April, I went to Costa Rica. I went to Costa Rica because I was scouting Costa Rica. I wanted to see if I would enjoy living there. And the reason why is because actually Costa Rica was twofold, vacation and scouting, because I did a lot of fun things in Costa Rica. But the reason why Costa Rica was on my list as a potential destination to live is because of some of the reasons why I chose Mexico, because it's not too far from the United States, quick and easy flight. The safety, Costa Rica is considered one of the safest countries in Central America. Of all the Latin American countries, Costa Rica is considered one of the safest. Costa Rica is not affordable in terms of the cost of things in some of the other Central American countries, but it's cheaper than the United States. So it'll make your money stretch a little further. But I really enjoy Costa Rica. And yes, Costa Rica is safe for Black women. It was a wonderful country as a solo traveler. I know some of you enjoy travel, but you're not comfortable with solo travel yet. Perhaps we can do a separate video on, the things that I do when I'm solo traveling to make sure that I'm safe. But it's a perfect country. It's a perfect country for solo travel. It's so much to do. And Costa Rica has so many different regions with different cultures. So there is the interior of Costa Rica, so where most people typically land when they fly in into San Jose. So that's more interior, and that's more city-like. If you're a city girl, I imagine for people that like New York City or like Washington, D.C. or like Mexico City or something, San Jose may be something you may enjoy. It's not as big and it's not as much to do, but it's more city-like. Then they have the Caribbean side. The Caribbean side is a whole vibe. That's where we are in Costa Rica. Because y'all know when they took us from the motherland, they just dropped us off in different places. We were all on the same ship. They just dropped us off in different places. But there's a Caribbean side, and all of us are there. The vibe is there. The food is there. It's wonderful. Black sand beaches, all that good stuff. And then there is like the jungle areas of Costa Rica. That area, I think it's called La Fortuna. That's actually where I had the most fun. In La Fortuna. I did a reel on Instagram where I shared all the places I went and recommendations for where you could stay, the restaurants you can eat at, the things you can do, the activities if you visit Costa Rica. So if you scan my Instagram, it's not too far down because it was this year, so it's not too far down, but I recapped my whole Costa Rica experience for you. But I visited like 5 different regions in Costa Rica. San Jose was one. That was my least favorite. Tamarindo, La Fortuna. Shoot, I should have wrote notes. I'm sorry. Hold on. I have my trusty TripIt app that keeps track of my itinerary on all of my trips. Let's see, I can quickly see where I stayed, what I did, if I send it to the app to remember for me. But it's on the post. It's on the post in Instagram. But I went to 5 different regions, and I enjoyed La Fortuna in the Caribbean side the most. Tamarindo is more just beach town. It's more Canadians, Europeans. That's where they tend to flock to. I felt like that was the highest, like the most expensive area because they cater to tourists in Tamarindo. I enjoyed it, but it wasn't a place where I would live. I could see myself living on the Caribbean side or maybe even somewhere around the La Fortuna area. Not in La Fortuna because that's also too touristy for me, but I can see myself perhaps living around it somewhere. So Costa Rica is on my list of places where I would consider living or just snowbirding to. Like if I did not want to be in the United States in the winter, which by the way, this is my last winter in the United States. But that could be possibly a place where I would snowbird to if I didn't choose to live there long term. And the reason why I would hesitate to live there long term is similar to the next country that I'll share with you. So in May, I went to Panama. I was in Panama in May. I spent the majority of my time in Panama City. I also visited Buquete. I also visited I really should have wrote all these notes down. I wasn't planning to share like this level of detail because I don't want this live to be too long. But in Panama, I visited three areas. And Panama City is the one I enjoyed the most. I enjoyed Panama City the most, and I thought that would be my spot. I was like, I could live here. I love Panama. I loved it so much. I had a dream. I had a dream about what my ideal life would be, and it felt so real. And in this dream, I had a vision of like my home, like my apartment, my condo that I would live in the view from the condo, every room in my apartment, like the panoramic view in my apartment. And I had this dream for years, for years. And this is the vision that I had in mind when I would go different places to travel. And I felt like when I saw the vision that I had in my dream, that would be my place. I saw it in Panama. I saw it in Panama. When I walked into this Airbnb, I saw the pictures. It was Airbnb. I saw the pictures and something just drew me to it. It was so weird. I very rarely, if ever, book an Airbnb that have no comments, that have no reviews. It's new on the platform. I rarely do that. This Airbnb had just been posted. There were no prior reviews, but I was drawn to the pictures for some reason, and I didn't make the connection to my dream. I was like, I really like this place. I messaged the owner. We chatted back and forth. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take a chance. I'm going to book it. And when I walked into that Airbnb, this feeling came over me. Like it was a chill just standing in the living room. I hadn't seen the view yet, but it was just like a chill standing in the living room. And y'all, when I walked in and pulled the curtains back and saw that view, I had to call my mama. I called my mom. I was like, oh my God, Mom, you cannot believe this. You will not believe this. You remember that dream I told you about? My mama probably thought I was crazy. She thought I was crazy. And she was like, What's wrong? Where are you? Like, because I was just talking so loud and so fast. I was so excited. I cannot believe it. And then I turned my camera around and I showed her, and she was like, yeah, that's it. That's it. I just knew Panama was gonna be my place. I knew it. I like Panama, first of all, because they're they're kind of, it kind of reminds me of the United States, but the good parts of the United States, because it has so much US influence. You remember, like, the US was so involved in building the Panama Canal, and the US had also took over like a big part of their land that they just gave back like recently in our lifetime. But it has a lot of US influence, so it really feels a lot like home. It feels a lot like home. Almost everyone speaks English. They're bilingual, but everyone speaks English. There are a lot of us there. It's a lot of Black people in Panama. I felt like I was home, but in a better, like in like the utopia. And I'm sure there's some bad parts of Panama, but this was just the initial feeling that I had. So to see this apartment, I was like, this is my place. I knew this was my place. I was on the 53rd floor of a high rise. I'm an apartment type of girl. I don't need a house. I don't want a whole bunch of land because I ain't trying to cut the grass. I ain't trying to hire nobody to do the landscaping. I don't want all that responsibility. I want to live in a luxury high rise that has a doorman, that has a butler. I want to have housekeeping. I want someone to cook for me. I want to have a beautiful view when I wake up in the morning. I want to have a beautiful view when I'm kicked back on my couch watching TV or sitting in front of my computer in my office space, creating content for you guys. I want to have a beautiful view in every space in my apartment. And I want to have ceiling to floor windows. I want the windows to be wide, and I do not want anything to block my view. I don't want anything blocking my view. And I promise you, this Airbnb in Panama City was it. Until hold on. I need to pour a drink. Which, by the way, did I tell y'all it's my birthday weekend? So I have some rosé over here that I bought for myself to kick off the celebration. I should be drinking out of a glass, right? A wine glass. But this is my new favorite mug now. So anytime y'all see me drinking anything, anywhere, it will be in this mug. Y'all know I'm always making money babies. Always making money babies. I love it. But anyway, girl, I'm from the East Coast. I ain't never lived on the West Coast. I ain't never lived anywhere in the world where I felt the earth move. Y'all, remember I was on the 50-something floor. I was getting ready to go to bed. I remember I was sitting at the dining room table. I had just got off the phone with my mama. Yeah, I talk to my mama just about every day. Just about every day, especially when I'm traveling. But I had just got off the phone with my mom, and I was packing up, like getting my stuff together to settle in for the night. And I had the blinds open, the shutters for the balcony thing open, because I just love the view, a panoramic view everywhere. And I like being high up because I want to leave my windows open 24/7, just leave my windows open. And as I was getting ready to get up, I felt something move. And y'all, I don't eat the best. I really need to prioritize my health in 2024. So I didn't know if my blood pressure was high. I didn't know if I was had a little touch of vertigo, I didn't know. I didn't know what was going on. I just knew that my body felt like something was spinning. I was like, what? So I sat back down and I looked out the view. It was dark. It was night. But I saw a shadow. Child. I'm pausing because this memory still freaks me out. I saw a shadow, like it was dark, but the darkness moved and then it was light. Y'all know what I was thinking, right? Y'all know what I started reciting the Lord's Prayer. I started repenting for all my sins. Y'all, I thought it was the second coming of Jesus because I was like, I don't know what's going on. What is happening? Oh my God. I'm seeing darkness and then light. And then I'm feeling my body move and I'm sitting at the table. Y'all. I thought the world was ending. I thought that was gonna be it. And I was like, Lord, I'm glad I told my mama I love her before I hung up. Come to find out. Which, by the way, whenever you travel, make sure you are connected with the expat community in that country. Go to Facebook, join the Facebook group. So if you're going to Panama City, look for brothers and sisters in Panama City, Black women in Panama City, Black expats in Panama City. If you're going to, Thailand, look for brothers and sisters in Thailand, Black expats in Thailand, Black blank in blank, wherever you go. The first thing I want you to do is find your people. This was a perfect example where I was so glad I was connected to my people. These groups have people that are traveling short term throughout these locations, as well as people that live there. So I will find the Facebook group and the WhatsApp group chat every place I go. I was connected in several Panama groups. I was so happy because, girl, I really thought the world was about to end. But once I said my prayers and repented and I just gave up, I submitted. I didn't know what was happening. I picked up my phone and started. First, I scanned Google, what's happening in Panama. I went to Google first. Didn't find anything initially. So I went to the WhatsApp group chat. Sure enough. Should have went there first. The WhatsApp group chat, everybody was posting. Y'all feel that? Y'all feel that? Y'all feel that? I was like, well, darn, I'm not crazy. Because for a minute, I thought I was. I'm like, this can't be happening. This can't be happening. I'm not finished yet, Lord. I'm not finished yet, Lord. I haven't led enough women to the promised land of wealth. You gave me this assignment. I'm not done yet. But the WhatsApp group was popping because everybody was feeling it. And then about 30 minutes later, then I saw the notifications in the Facebook groups. Everybody was feeling it. It wasn't until the next day the news be late. But your people, they will tell you immediately what's happening. It wasn't until the next day where I saw the news reporting a 6.9 earthquake on the Richter scale. 6.9 is a strong earthquake. For someone that had never, ever experienced an earthquake in her life, for my first one to be that strong, I was shook. And it didn't help that I was on the 50-something floor of a high-rise building. The whole building was swaying. That was the dark to light that I saw. That was the darkness and the lightness that I saw. The whole building was swaying. And my inexperienced self didn't know it was an earthquake. I didn't know that's what an earthquake feels like. And I do now, but I also didn't know what you do when you experience an earthquake. I said, I can't live here. I can't live here. Everybody was telling me, oh, we don't have earthquakes in Panama. Earthquakes happen in Costa Rica, but they're very rare in Panama. They're rare in Panama, but we get a strong one, the strongest one that you have had in history during the one time I'm here. No, I don't believe you. You need more people. Everybody was saying Panama doesn't get earthquakes. All I needed was that one. I booked the flight the next day. I said, I gotta go. I gotta go. So all that love I had for Panama City, I thought that was my place. I was ready to start researching visas, residency visas. I can visit Panama again. There are actually other places that I do want to visit that, from what I hear, are so far away from what causes the earthquake. I can't explain it. I wouldn't do it any justice. That they weren't impacted. But it's my understanding Costa Rica gets earthquakes often. And it's my understanding that earthquake that happened when I was there, it spanned across multiple areas. It even went down into Colombia. That's how wide and strong it was. I was shook. Okay, Adelia's saying those people don't know their geography. I trust Adelia. She was a history teacher. She knows that stuff. Panama is on the 2-plate boundaries, as is all of Central America. The people in Panama will tell you, go into the Facebook, they will tell you, Panama don't get earthquakes. I've been living here for X number of years and never experienced an earthquake. Panama don't get earthquakes. So I was like, oh, okay. Because that was one of the reasons I was hesitant about Costa Rica. But now that I think about it, in hindsight, they're right next to each other. So if Costa Rica earth shaking, then why wouldn't Panama? Makes no sense. Saying it now out loud, I'm like, duh, Malika. But that's what they were telling me. Child. I said, nope, I can't stay here. I can't stay here. I will visit Panama again because I actually really, really enjoyed it, especially Old Town. I think they call it Old Town. So the old part before the city became all modern with all the high rises and stuff, the Old Town part is very beautiful. It's very beautiful. And I stayed in a little bit, at least a week or two, in several areas. I really enjoyed it. Casco Viejo. Yes. I really, really like the cultural feeling in Casco Viejo. It's such a quaint little town, very walkable. The roads are the cobblestone roads. The roads are very narrow. If a car goes down the road, it's only enough space for one little bitty car. But very walkable. I felt very safe when I was in Panama. There were certain neighborhoods I was told to stay out of when I was down in the Casco Viejo area. But what I found interesting is the way the roads are paved. You can tell you're still in Casco Viejo because the roads are still the cobblestone. But when the road turns to the pavement, you know you ventured outside of Casco Viejo and you're entering the neighboring neighborhoods, the neighboring parts of the city that the locals say are unsafe. And what did I do? Y'all already know. And when I did, I was like, oh my goodness, this reminds me so much of my childhood. It was not a marching band, a drill team. a drill team that was practicing their routine. When I was younger, I was in a drill team. I was in a drill team, y'all, called the Soul Shaniques. And man, that was so much fun. It's such a beautiful memory of my childhood being on that drill team. And a lot of my friends that I still have today are friends because we were all on the drill team together. So to see the drill team practicing their performance and to see the little band playing and to see the kids running around with their little ice cream cone and to see the little snow cone truck, I was like, oh my goodness, it was so nostalgic. And not that I was trying to venture out and do anything unsafe, but sometimes when people tell me that things are not safe, I listen, but I also consider the source of who's telling me that. And I use my common sense. I'm from the hood, born and raised in the inner city. Okay. If you were to look up the city where I was born and raised, it will probably be in the top 5 of the unsafest cities in the country. I'm not crazy. I'm not going to be all out in the middle of war zones type things. But when it's a regular city, if someone is telling me, oh, that's not safe, be careful, I got to consider the source that's saying it. Because if I choose to avoid it, I usually miss out on cultural things that I actually find enjoyable. So, not suggesting you do that, but I discovered something that brought me back to my childhood when I ventured a little bit outside of Casco Viejo. So I don't regret it at all. But anyway, let me check the comments. So that was Costa Rica and Panama City. Let me check the comments to see what we doing. What we doing? Yes, girl. I thought my blood pressure was up. My blood pressure was I really do need to get my life together. I can't say I'm free. I got time freedom, location freedom, and all this kind of freedom. And I'm not prioritizing the most important thing, which is my health, right? All the money in the world does not matter if you do not have your health. What's the point of having a multi-million-dollar portfolio if I'm laid up in the hospital because my blood pressure too high, or because my cholesterol too high, or something else that is avoidable, preventable? Just based on the choices that I make every day. I'm aware of that, and I am going to commit to prioritize my health because I can't use a job as an excuse anymore. I cannot use a job as an excuse anymore. And that used to be one of my excuses. Oh my goodness, I'm so stressed. I don't have time to cook. I don't have time to shop. I don't have time to do this. I don't have that excuse anymore. So I'm not going to make up any excuses. Thank you all for the birthday wishes. My birthday is on Sunday, on Christmas Eve. Yes, yes. Oh, Positively Frill. She said she ordered hers a few days ago. Yes. Y'all get your I'm Making Money Babies mug. We have Making Money Babies. Also, My Money Works for Me. And Rich Black Woman. Yes. So y'all get y'all Money Babies mug. We have mugs, we have t-shirts, we have hoodies, all the things. Get your mug. Thank you, Prill. All the funds that I receive from the merch and the membership will go towards building a scholarship to help more Black women learn how to invest. Shout out to Shalonda for recommending that I create some type of donation fund to help more Black women enroll and invest with ease. I didn't want to just accept random donations. I wanted to be able to give you something in exchange for your donation. So that's why I decided to add merch to my channel when you make the donation, or the 2 membership levels. And the VIP membership level will receive the membership only live, where I pull back the curtains on my personal finances and share all the 411. Yes, I see some of you guys want to visit Panama. Delia says she calls Panama American Junior. You go to Panama, it really does feel just like you're in the United States. It feels just like you're in the United States. Let's see. Yes, L. Thank you. Y'all hit the like button. If this information is entertaining to you or helpful to you in any way, y'all hit the like button and share. Share it with other travelers you know. And if you have any questions about the countries that I've mentioned so far, put them in the comments. Let's talk about them. I will try to answer your questions. Yes. Costco Viejo was definitely a vibe. Yes, Janella, you enjoyed it too. Ooh, 2 earthquakes in Charlotte, North Carolina. Nope. Give me the hurricanes, which is what we're used to on the East Coast. And the reason why I don't mind, well, I won't say I don't mind hurricanes. Scratch that. I didn't mean that. But at least with a hurricane, you can prepare. At least with a hurricane, you get a warning. At least with a hurricane, you can make a decision on how you want to deal with it, whether you want to sit it out, whether you want to board up your house, whether you want to leave. But with the earthquake, ain't nobody warning you 3 days, 5 days in advance. An earthquake is gonna hit on Friday afternoon. Ain't nobody telling you that. It just happened. It just happens. I was like, oh my god. Yeah, that it freaked me out so bad. I booked my flight home the next day. I booked my flight home. I think I stayed one more night, but I booked my flight home the next day. I said, I can't do this. Can't do this. Oh, no, Adele, you right. She said, last week we had 4, 3 in one day. Now, I think if I had experienced a micro one my first time, I probably would have been a little uneasy, but just curious. What was that? Oh, is that what an earthquake feels like? But for your very first one to be that high on the Richter scale, like almost a 7, I think earthquakes only go up to like a 9. And it was a 7 for my first one. It freaked me out. Now I'm scared. I'm scared. It's like my life literally flashed before my eyes, y'all. I thought it was the second coming. Not that I'm afraid of the second coming. I welcome it. And the way I'm living my life now, I have no regrets. So there's nothing that I will say, oh, I wish I would have. I wish I could have. When it's my time to go, it's my time to go. And with everybody I love, I make sure they know I love them. I make sure I say I love them. I make sure they feel like I love them. And I've made amends. So when it's my time to go, it's my time to go. But I don't want to intentionally put myself in a position where I might have to go. That earthquake freaked me out. No, that earthquake freaked me out. Let me get back to my notes. All right. So the next one on my list. What did I do after I left Panama? Oh, because I left in such a rush. I was supposed to be in Panama for, I think Panama, because that was my place. Had that not happened, I probably would have stayed in Panama for the rest of the year. Because I think Panama allows us to stay for 6 months on an American visa. So I would have stayed in Panama probably for the rest of the year had that not happened. I loved it that much. I didn't really connect with the Black expats that were there, other than being in the groups and in the Facebook chat. But I was starting to get more active in the group, starting to communicate more. And I think they were planning an outing that I was going to go to. That changed everything for me. So when I booked that emergency flight, y'all, I came home. Y'all, I'm a big chicken. I came home. And I say that to everybody. When you're traveling, don't be afraid of coming back home. That does not mean you have failed. That does not mean anything is wrong. That does not mean you should be ashamed. So don't hesitate to travel because you're afraid of what might happen or what could happen, or don't hesitate to move abroad because you're afraid of things might not work out, or you're afraid of what other people might think. Girl, come home. Come home. I have a friend that's over in Bali right now that's still there that I met when I was there. Such a sweetie. I checked on her to see how she was doing because I didn't see very many posts from her, and she had dengue fever. Dengue, I believe, is something you get from the mosquitoes. Um, and I was like, well, oh my God, how are you doing? And she was telling me how she was doing, and she was like, she was getting a little better. So I was asking her what the medical care was like. And she was saying it was really good. And I said, listen, if you need help getting a flight home, just let me know. Come home. Don't feel like you got to stick it out in a foreign country. If things are not going well, if you're afraid, if you're sick. Now, if you call that place home and the quality of the care that you're getting meets your needs, by all means, stay. But if there's anything that gives you hesitation, and sometimes when you're sick, you just want to be around your people. You want to be in the comfort and surrounded by love, especially if you have an illness that has you up in hospital. Come home. Come home. And that's what I did. When I was freaked out, I booked a flight and I came home. Yep. So in June, I was back on the East Coast. I brought my butt home. So I don't count this in the 10. I count the United States because in March, I went to Vegas for Usher and I went to California to visit my aunt. But in June, I came back to the United States again. I came home because I was scared. I wasn't sure how to process what was happening. And I didn't have the bandwidth to plan my next destination. So I decided to come home to regroup. If you're ever abroad and you ever have any questions, any second thoughts, you feel uneasy, you feel unsafe, come home. Always come home. Now, I jokingly say I'm homeless because I don't have a place that's my own. I don't really have a home. I do have a home base, but I don't really have a home that's my own. I gave up my apartment. All of my properties are rented out. So I don't have a place to go to that's mine. But in an emergency, I'm knocking on somebody's door. You better let me in. I'm kidding. I'll go to my mama's house. I will go to my mama's house. But yeah, girl, come home. But anyway, in June, I was back here in the United States. I won't get into all the stuff I did in June, but spent a lot of time with family. Way too much time with family. In July, I peaced out again. I had some time to regroup, had some time to find myself in Wusa. And I peaced out again in July. In July, I went to London. Since I was a teenager. I thought a little girl. Since I was a teenager, I have always, I probably get it from some TV show I was watching. I have always had dreams of spending the summer in London. Just the sound of that. It just sounds so fancy to me. I spent the summer in London. So I wanted to go back to London for the summer. And I've been to London before, so it wasn't like a touristy type trip. I just wanted to see what it was like to live in London. Of all the European cities that I've been to, London is one of my favorites. But I had prior to this summer, I had only been to London on vacation. So I had only been for like 10 days or 7 days. I think the longest was like 12 days, but it was always like an action-packed full day of going, doing all the things. So my plan when I went to London was to spend the rest of the summer as if I lived there. And I wanted to get a feel of what it was like to live there. And there were certain neighborhoods that I had researched or that I had been to before that I wanted to live in. So my very, very first place I went to London and I had a house sit. I don't know if y'all remember the video I did where I talked about how sometimes I travel for free. And that's one of the ways I do it. Sometimes I travel for free by house sitting. So if another traveler, a homeowner, is traveling somewhere and they don't want to leave their house empty, right? They will have a house sitter come to stay in their house. Sometimes house sitting is just taking care of the home, watering the plants. Sometimes house sitting is taking care of their pet. So my first London house sit, they didn't have any pets. They just wanted someone in their home, and they wanted someone to water because it was summertime. It was hot. So they wanted to make sure that their plants wouldn't be dead when they got back, right? So my first house sit was no pets. They just wanted someone in their home, and it just so happened to be in a neighborhood where I wanted to be. I don't remember the name of the neighborhood, but this was definitely something I saw on TV. Y'all remember the street that the Beatles crossed? The popular Beatles record in the record cover, on the record cover, they're crossing a street. And I can't remember off the top of my head the name of the street, but that's the neighborhood it was in. And I wanted to be in that neighborhood just because of, I remember that neighborhood being popular from some TV show, and the Beatles made it popular. So that's where I get a lot of my ideas from, just fantasies that I had when I was a child. And I love having the freedom now to explore those fantasies and make it reality. Some of them, once they become reality, they're underwhelming. You're like, oh, this is it. Kind of like going to see the Mona Lisa in the Louvre in Paris. It's like, this is it. Or even the Eiffel Tower. Paris is really dirty. But some people love Paris. I'm not hating. But Paris is underwhelming to me. But some of them, my childhood dreams, are very exciting. And I really enjoyed being in that neighborhood. But I spent about a month and a half in London, and it was a whole vibe. It was a whole vibe. I didn't do any touristy type things. I just really just did a lot of walking, exploring the city, and just sightseeing and people watching. And I loved it. Abbey Road. Yes, Maya, Abbey Road. Yes, my house sit was like 2 blocks over from Abbey Road and the popular park there. Oh my goodness, I love the parks in London. They have so much beautiful, beautiful green spaces. One of my priorities when I'm deciding where I want to live and where I want to stay is making sure that it's walkable, first and foremost. And I love to find green spaces. Any place where there's green space and water, I'm sold. I'm sold. I'm sold. So yes, Abbey Road, y'all remember, y'all got it. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, so that was the first place I stayed when I was in London. But like I said, I was there for 6 weeks. So after I left my first house sit, I went to another house sit that was right in the middle of the city, right where the London Eye is. So what's the name of that neighborhood? Y'all know better than I do. Like right out of her living room, looking right at the London Eye. Like, how did I get so lucky to find these perfect places that's right in the middle of where I want to stay? House sitting, y'all. House sitting. I use this website called Trusted House Sitters, and there is a annual fee for it. I think I paid like maybe $200 for the year, but you can apply and do as many house sits as you want. And I tend to house sit. Oh, I like to house sit in expensive countries. So my accommodations are free. So you pay a $200 annual membership. Imagine if you stayed in London for 6 to 8 weeks. How much would you pay for accommodations? That house sitting fee was covered after my first night in London, especially staying in an ideal location like the way I choose. So that's the way I use house sitting. I use it for free accommodations when I'm traveling to expensive countries. But my second house sit, she did have a dog. And I only house sit. I'm in this house sitting group with other Black women, and we laugh all the time because I only house sit for homeowners that have pets if it's a cute pet. And what I mean by cute is I had a Maltese. I had a Maltese for 16 years. That was my baby. She joined the family when she was like 8 weeks old, and her life expectancy was only 15, but she lived for 16 years. And the Maltese is the white dog with the long hair with the top knot. So I look for dogs that look like my Precious used to look. I said, a dog has to be cute to be lovable. I can't love you if you aren't cute. But she had the cutest little Maltese. It was like half the size of Precious. I think she was only 3 or 4 pounds. The dog was so stinking cute. So cute. But me and her little dog, we were all around London. She gave me a little purse. It was the cutest thing. She gave me a little purse to carry the dog in. When I would go somewhere, the dog was going with me. And she had the little leash, and the leash was like pearls, made of pearls. So cute, so adorable. I was on the train. The dog was with me on the train. We were in the park. The dog was with me in the park. Everywhere I went, that dog was with me. And because London is such a dog-friendly city, even the restaurants and the pubs will allow you to have your dog with you. Now, I didn't take the dog inside anywhere. But if I grabbed something to eat somewhere and they had outdoor sitting, which is one of the things I love about London in the summer, almost everywhere has outdoor sitting, then I would take the dog with me. Me and that dog became best friends. I was so sad to leave. I was so sad to leave. And I told her, honey, I will pet sit for you anytime in the summer because London is cold. London is cold right now. But I said anytime in the summer. And she is from Australia, I think. She's from Australia, and her parents are elderly, so she goes home a lot. So she was like, I will always need a house sitter in the summer. I said, you can count on me. I will be back in London in the summer. Yes, I will be back in London in the summer. So I spent about 6, 7 weeks in London. Let me look at my notes. What months was that? July and August. July and August, I was in London. Could I live in London? Absolutely. London is very expensive, though. London is more expensive than the United States. I did connect with a few of us in the community. Actually had a high tea with a friend, and we also went to some Black museums that talked about that, where I learned about, Black history in London. Didn't really connect a lot with the Black community, but she did take me to the neighborhoods where most of us tend to reside. We went shopping in that area, had some meals in that area, and it was a whole vibe. I liked it. I liked it. Not necessarily. I'm not necessarily saying I would live in that area, but I really like London. Out of all the European countries, well, no, it's the UK, but out of all the cities in that area of the world, London is top of my list. I could see myself living there. I like the idea of living in places that have a lower cost of living, but it's not a number one criteria on my list. It's not a number one criteria on my list. I don't necessarily need to cut my expenses down so low in order to live. So I prioritize other things that bring me joy. So I would definitely consider London. The only thing that makes me not put it high on my list is because the British is just the United States, but older. It's just the United States, but older. It's the granddaddy of racism. So I see you, Prill. Okay, let me see if actually it's in the description. Look in the description box, and I believe I have my link in the description box for trusted house sitters where it says get free accommodations. Is someone asking for the link? Uh, let's see. Do y'all see it in the description box? Hold on. Let's see if I can find it. Let me see if I can find it. There we go. There you go. I'll put it there for you. But thank you, Prill, for pointing that out for me. But yeah, so I'm not trying to go anywhere where I'm experiencing the same microaggressions, the same issues that we have here at home. So it's not high on my list. But if I had to choose a place in Europe, London would be it. Is it safe? Absolutely. London is safe. But those are the main two downsides. It's expensive, and it's just the granddaddy of the United States. Nothing is different. Nothing is different. Yeah. So next on my list, after I left London, wrapped up those 2 house sits. I think I had about a week in between where I wasn't house sitting at all. I haven't gotten that good yet to plan them strategically. So one ends and the other one begins in perfect timing. So I haven't planned it. Haven't gotten that good at planning yet, but it's my understanding that there are some full-time house sitters out here that have strategies down pat where they house sit all year round and they stack those house sits where they're going from one to the other. I ain't that good. But I had about a week in between my 2 London house sits. And after I left London, and the only reason why I left London actually is because it started getting cold. I left at the end of August. Early. No, it was the end of August. I left around the end of August because the next place I went to was Spain. And I didn't stay in Spain that long. I was only in Spain for about 2 weeks. Yeah, the end of August until the beginning of September, I was in Spain. But the only reason why I left London is because it started getting cold. So I can see myself going back to London every summer, especially if that house sit is available and I don't have to pay for accommodations. I'm in there. And I will use London as my jump off point to visit other parts of Europe. But after I left London, then I flew to Spain. I went to Barcelona first. And you guys actually helped me with that decision. I remember posting, I put a poll on the communities tab. And I was like, if you have been to Spain and you loved it, which area did you love the most? Y'all remember that? And I listed Barcelona, Madrid, Valencia, and it was another city that I listed. And the majority of you, I think it was like over 80% that said Barcelona. And I was like, boom, that's where I'm going. Sometimes I don't have a plan. Y'all help me decide, and that's where I booked my flight. It was really that simple. I had no plans at all. I said, woo, it's getting cold in London, time to go. And I went to Barcelona. To the beach, and just like y'all said, it was a whole vibe. I went to Barcelona and Madrid. I did not make it to Valencia in the other place on the list, but I'll circle back eventually. But out of the 2, Barcelona and Madrid, Barcelona hands down. I loved Barcelona. I love Barcelona because it felt like Spain. Like I felt like when I was walking the streets of Barcelona, first of all, I couldn't show my mama Barcelona because the way the streets are, the way the little alleyways are that you walk down, it looks like you're walking down a dark alley. And when you're walking down the street, it's a normal street. The cities that are really, really old, they're very narrow. The buildings are really close. The streets are cobblestone, typical old European cities, right? And they look dark. And based on my American mind and looking at it through your American lens, you would think you're unsafe. But it was just a regular part of the city. And I loved like walking down the narrow alleyways of Barcelona and just walking to the end and being in like a square, or I think they call them squares, walking out into a square or one of the little circle things. And and hearing the music being played, and it just feels like you're transported like back in time, or you're transported into like a movie scene or something. I was so fascinated. I'd never been to Barcelona before, so that was my first time. So I was there doing all the touristy stuff. I was doing all the touristy things. I went to the Picasso Museum. I was taking pictures with all the Picasso images. I went to visit I can't remember the cathedral. Beautiful architecture. Oh my goodness, so beautiful. I did not connect with many of us while I was there. I did find some Facebook groups, but I did not find a group of us while I was there. And to be honest, I didn't try hard to find us because I knew I wasn't going to be there long, because my next destination was actually my priority. I only went to Spain because I left London early because it was getting cold. But Barcelona was a whole vibe. Spent some time on the beach, did a couple of tours, did a lot of touristy stuff. Would I say Barcelona is safe for Black women? Absolutely. Absolutely. I did not experience anything that made me feel unsafe. I didn't experience any covert or overt racism. Although I will say, I don't want to make it seem like my experience is the end all be all. I have read a lot about racism in Barcelona. I have seen a lot of Black travelers say that they didn't like Barcelona because they felt like they were discriminated against. Just because it wasn't my experience, that does not mean it doesn't happen. I didn't experience it, so I really enjoyed Barcelona. However, I didn't like Madrid. I did not like Madrid. When I was in Madrid, I enjoyed the touristy things because I was a tourist in Madrid too. But Madrid, well, first of all, if you're not like a history buff and into like architecture and into history, I feel like Madrid is not something a non-history person would enjoy because it really wasn't a lot to do. But furthermore, I felt like I experienced discrimination in Madrid. And the memory that stands out to me the most, and it's minor, but it's still a memory and it made me feel away. And I was like, no, this is not for me. So I was in a restaurant. I was sitting outside dining, and the service was pretty decent. Well, a white family walked up and they sat at the table beside me. They had a dog with them, a big dog with them. And initially, the person that was holding the dog was on the other side of the table, so they weren't close to me. Well, I guess maybe some other family members, more of their party, came up, and the restaurant was trying to make their table wider. So they were moving the table over closer to me to make room on the other side. So the person that had the dog came over to my side. And I asked the waiter, I got the waiter's attention, and I asked the waiter if they could move the table further to the other side. There was plenty of space on the other side because I was uncomfortable, with the dog. I didn't want to tell that person move on the other side because you got the dog. So I said it quietly and nicely to the waiter, asking the waiter to control the situation, to move their table a little further that way. The waiter looked at me and gave me a once over and walked away like he didn't hear what I just said. I explained why I was asking. I told him I was uncomfortable. He continued to seat this large party as if I no longer mattered. So I requested a check. He didn't hesitate to bring me the check. My food was not finished. My drink that I had just ordered had just been brought out to me. When I requested the check, he didn't ask why. He didn't ask, did you not like the food? What's wrong? He just brought it to me. And I said, that's interesting. So I kindly paid my bill without a tip, left my drink and left my food, and went on about my merry little business. And because of that experience, it made me hyper aware of other things that was happening. I think these other things that happened, I probably would have brushed them off had it not been for that experience. And prior to those white people coming, the service was fine. But when that happened, it was like, I'm going to prioritize them over you. And your business doesn't matter to me anymore. It's like, oh, okay. But because of that experience, it made me hyper aware of other things that I experienced. And then I started noticing it everywhere. And I was like, this is what people warned me about. And I wondered, the people that voted on the community tab, the vote for Madrid was very low. I was like, I wonder if this is why. So yeah, Madrid was not my favorite. I felt safe when I was in Madrid, although I've heard a lot about like petty crimes, like pickpocketing and stuff like that, especially in the touristy areas. But I did not. It's safe to go to Madrid, Eileen, but I didn't enjoy it because of that experience. But that was just my experience. But I want to be honest and I want to share that. And I hadn't planned on staying in Spain very long anyway, but that was enough reason for me to go ahead and peace out. It's enough reason for me to go ahead and peace out. But my flight from London to Barcelona was stupid cheap. I think it was like, wait a minute, did I fly? Or I know I took the train between Barcelona and Madrid. Did I fly from London to Barcelona? Yes, I did. Let me check my Tripit app. Tripit, TRIPIT, is the app I use to track all of my historical travel data. And I also use this to keep track of my entire itinerary. And when I travel, I give someone in my family access to this list so they will know what hotels I'm staying in, what flights I'm taking, the flight number that I'll be on, the excursions that I'm taking, all of that, all the things that come in your confirmation email. You can send it to this app, and this app keeps a track of every single thing. But yeah, my flight. Yeah, I did. I flew from London to Barcelona, and it was on British Airways, and I paid $50. I paid $50 to fly between London and Barcelona. And then I took the train from Barcelona to Madrid. And the train ride was probably $50 or less too. So very, very inexpensive. Once you get to that side of the world, it's very inexpensive to bounce around inside. And that's one of the reasons why I will continue to go back to London every summer, especially if the house sit is available. But anyway, that Madrid was not for me. I will never go back to Madrid. I will go back to Barcelona, and I would love to visit Valencia, Malaga. That's the other Spanish city I want to visit. Malaga. I think that's where Picasso was born. I'd love to visit Malaga, and it's another one that I hear a lot of us talking about. I can't remember it right off the top of my head. But anyway, I do plan to go back to Spain. Seville. That's it, Tamika. That's it. Seville or Seville? Is it Seville or Seville? That's the one I hear a lot of us talking about. That's in the south, right? That's south of Spain. Yes, that's it. I do plan to go back to visit Valencia, Malaga, and Seville. I think that's how you say it. But when I left Madrid, I went to my new favorite place in the world. I went to Bali. When I left Madrid, I flew to Bali. I was so ticked off in Madrid. I was like, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Let me get away from this side of the world. Seville. Okay, Seville. So I left Madrid and flew to Bali. That flight was expensive. I ain't gonna lie. That flight was very expensive. When I'm flying more than 7, 8 hours, I need to be comfortable. Y'all know I had surgery on my spine, so I have back issues. I know, Adelia. Look, don't kill my vibe. But I need to be comfortable. So the flight there was very expensive. And it was also not planned. As y'all can see, I don't do a lot of planning. I just go by vibes. I just go by vibes. So I booked a flight. Who did I fly going there? Yeah, all in my TripIt app. Who did I fly going there? Cathay Pacific is who I flew from Madrid to Hong Kong and from Hong Kong to Indonesia. I did a separate video already on Bali, so I won't spend a lot of time. But just want to say, I love Bali. That's my place. And look, I tell you, try to kill my vibe. Not to rain on your parade, but Indonesia is very, I don't know how to pronounce it, seismically active. So, how active? How many earthquakes do they get a year? And what are they on the Richter scale? Like historically, like in the past 5 years. Can you tell me? Please. Don't make me too sad. Don't make me too sad because I love Bali. I love Bali. In fact, you know what? I just didn't know what it was, but it was like a little jiggling of something while I was there. The little small ones, I think I could tolerate. And especially because I was not in a high rise. I think the combination of those two things is really what freaked me out in Panama. I was on the 50 something floor. It was my first earthquake and it was a strong one. I think the combination of those is what freaked me out. But of course, there are no high rises in Bali. But I believe I felt a little bit of something when I was there. But I need to research. Oh, she said I don't want to know. Okay, I don't want to know. Okay, I don't want to know. I'll just make sure I'm not in the high rise. I think the high rise is really what made it so freaky for me. The whole building was moving. But I love Bali. I love everything about Bali. I was all over Bali. I did not visit any other islands, but I did stay in different regions on the island of Bali. I was in Ubud. I was in Kuta. I was in I was in like 5 different regions. It was my first visit to Bali. It was my very first time there. So I was doing a lot of touristy things, but it was also a scouting trip. It was also a scouting trip. Seminyak. Um, Canggu. Canggu. What's the area that's right on the edge by the water? Oh, what's the area that's right on the edge by the water? I didn't send this one to the app. But I went to 5 regions in Bali. I loved all of them except Kuta and Canggu, which interestingly is where most of us go to live. It was too much for me. It was too much. I'm not a party girl. I don't hang out late at night. I socialize, and I'm not the type of introvert that doesn't like to socialize at all. Or as Adelia would say, I don't talk. Adelia doesn't talk to people. So I do like to socialize, but I'm not a partier. And I feel like Canggu and Kuta is all party town. Like you could hear music 8 o'clock in the morning to 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. Like party all the time. It was just too much. I was like, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. That annoyed me more than the roosters. I stayed in one villa, absolutely beautiful, had like 9.5 out of 10 on reviews. I was like, oh my goodness, this is a vibe. It was very inexpensive, private villa, beautiful pool, great service. Y'all, that rooster woke me up every morning at 4 a.m. on the dot. I was like, I can't stay here. Would this rooster shut up? The rooster was just doing his job. But I would rather listen to the rooster than to live in a city that's just party, 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 party all the time. Because those areas have a lot of expats, they also have more, I won't say modern infrastructure because nothing about Bali is modern, but it's more of the comforts that a Westerner would want. So it makes adapting to life in Bali a lot easier. But I don't like the area. So if I lived in Bali, I would probably stay in Ubud. Ubud is very jungle. I love it because it feels like Indonesia to me. It's the cultural center of Bali. I met so many wonderful, wonderful locals while I was there. One that I now call my sister, my Balinese sister. She has accepted me into her family, calls me her American sister. She's given me a Bali name. And she's going to help me transition whenever I decide to go back. But I might need to talk to Adelia about these earthquakes. And I see you, Tamika. Bali had a 7.0 in August. And I wasn't there until September. So oh Lord, I'm glad I just missed it. Oh my God, that 7.0 probably would have freaked me out. Well, maybe if I was in a villa, maybe not. But oh Lord, I'm so glad I missed it. But I think if I talk to Adelia and learn what she knows, I might have a change of heart. I don't know. But for now, Bali is my absolute favorite place in the world. The other video that I did, I'll link it in the description box, explains all the reasons why I love Bali. I love it so much. When I was trying to explain to you all why I love Bali, I started crying. That's how much Bali moved me. The culture, the people, the things to do, the food, everything. I love it. I also shared in that video the things I did not like about Bali. But even despite those things, the things I love about it, I love it so much where it offsets all the negatives for me. The monkeys are vicious. The mosquitoes are vicious. It's hot, not Merida hot, but it's hot in Bali. You got to learn how to coexist with nature. It's a jungle. It's some things in nature that almost ran me up out of there. They got monkeys. You got to be careful around the monkeys. The traffic is hellacious. Bali is the first place I've ever been in the world where I say you can get to your destination faster by walking. It's so much traffic in Bali. People don't. It's just so much traffic in Bali. It's ridiculous. I had to learn how to ride a motorbike. I was scared as heck. I overcame a lot of fears in Bali. A lot of fears. I think that's why I'm drawn to it also, because I felt like I released a lot of limitations I had. But I learned how to ride a motorbike. Because if you don't ride a motorbike, you'll never get to your destination. I remember the first beach club I went to. It was, Google said it was 1.9 miles from my villa. Because I called a car, it took me almost an hour to get there. That's how bad traffic was. But I learned my lesson when I started riding a motorbike. You can get there in like 15 minutes on a motorbike, because the motorbike weave in and out of the traffic. The motorbikes get up on the sidewalk. The motorbikes go around everything. The motorbikes, I swear, they look unsafe, and they probably are, but that's the only way you can get around if you want to get anywhere. And as crazy as this sounds, I'm a walker. I like walkable places. I did not like Bali because Bali is not walkable. So it won't be a place where I land long term. But I would like to live in Bali for a period of time. For just a short period of time, maybe a year, maybe two, if I don't experience a 7.0 earthquake that freaks me out. But I love Bali so much. I'll link the other video so you can understand why I love this so much. After I left Bali, and I love Bali so much, I extended my flight and stayed longer than I intended to stay. I didn't want to leave. Bali is the first place I have ever visited. When I left, I did not want to leave. Even if someplace I enjoy, like London, when I left, I was like, okay, it's time to go. It's cold. When I left Bali, I left because the country was about to kick me out. I did not want to leave. The next destination that was planned on my itinerary wasn't until November. So I really didn't want to leave. So my next place that I went to, bridging the gap between Bali and where I really wanted to go, was just temporary because I was just buying time. But the next place I went to was Singapore. Singapore. I'll go ahead and say it. I didn't like it. Not only did I didn't like it, I hated it. I hated Singapore. When I first got there, now don't get me wrong, all the things that you see on TikTok and YouTube about Singapore, it's all true. Singapore is beautiful. Singapore is very modern. Singapore's airport is like the best airport in the world. That's all true. It's amazing. It's also fake. So coming from Bali and loving all the natural things about Bali, loving the culture, loving the calmness, loving how welcoming and kind the people are, adapting and learning how to coexist with nature, even though it scares the mess out of you. And to go to Singapore immediately after, it was like a shock. They're like polar opposite. I remember when I was in Singapore and I did a post about it. I said, Singapore is nothing but an amusement park for grown people. I'll even add to that. Singapore is nothing but an amusement park for rich grown people. Everything that you see about Singapore that's beautiful is fake. It's all made up. It's all fabricated. It's all technology. It's all the stuff that this is going to be a weird analogy, but this is what comes to mind. It's like lipstick on a pig. It's the glitz and the glamour. It's where all the wealthy people go to play. I'm sure it's a whole lot of business done there because of the tax advantages and all that kind of stuff. But what I did not like about Singapore is the underbelly of Singapore. I went to Singapore and did another house sit. So the beauty about house sitting is you get to live in the places where the locals live. So you're not in the touristy areas. You're not living in a hotel. You're in the neighborhoods where the people actually live. And when you're in those neighborhoods, you get to talk to the locals. When I travel, I love connecting with the locals. I will connect with the locals before I find us. Or I may connect with us in the Facebook groups and in the WhatsApp groups. But to actively meet in person, I like to connect with the locals first. And if I were there as a tourist and only a tourist and was only there for 3 to 5 days, like a typical tourist, I would have loved it because I would have saw all the glitz and the glamour. I would have saw the lipstick that was on the pig. That's what most people see. And most people say Singapore is very expensive. I went in thinking it was all high class, upper, echelon, beauty, high technology, high tech, like all of that. I'm like, there has to be, that's why it's so expensive. Singapore is expensive for foreigners, for tourists. If you're in a touristy area, you're going to pay about $10 for a cup of coffee. If you're in a touristy area, you're going to pay about $40 for a cheeseburger and fries. The hotels are very expensive. So all of that is true. But there's a dark underbelly to Singapore. And being in a residential area and house sitting for a local that has lived there all of her life, I learned a lot about the country. And it made me look at the glitz and glamour in a different way. So, over 90% of Singapore residences, of the local population, not expats that live there, over 90% of them live in government housing. The vast majority of the locals that live in Singapore, they live in government housing because they cannot afford to live in regular housing. Now, because it's so normal there, it's not government housing like we view government housing. It's government subsidized, but it's not like the projects, like where I grew up, right? It's not like the hood, but it's strategically built, subsidized government housing that have certain rules you got to follow, to live there. I think I learned, she told me that a single woman, could not get her own apartment in government housing until she was over a certain age. You had to be married in order to get your own apartment in the government housing or stay with your family until, I think the age was like 32, or stay with your family until you were over that age. Then you can get your own apartment in government housing. The government housing community has these, what do they call them? It's like places for people to eat. Shoot. So anywhere there's government housing within a certain radius of that housing community, it has to be a location of shops and restaurants for those residents to eat. And those shops are usually the kind of like, imagine like street food in Thailand, But instead of being out on the street, because it's government subsidized, they put them all indoors. Hawker centers. Yes, yes. Thank you, Adelia. So imagine like these high-rise government buildings with all of these people living in getting subsidized rent, and then like a little mini mall immediately outside of it with shops and restaurants for them to get their groceries, to get their meals, to buy their clothes, and it's all very, 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 very cheap. I went to the hawker centers a few times to get a meal because when I first got there, I was doing the touristy thing. I was paying like $40 for lunch. So when people say Singapore is expensive, that's what they're talking about with the touristy, right? But when you go to a hawker center, you're probably not going to find Americanized food like a cheeseburger or steak or anything like that, but you'll find the local Malaysian food. Singapore is a combination of three different ethnicities, cultures, religions, but Malaysian, Indian, and Chinese, right? So there's pockets of those communities around Singapore. Singapore is very small, right? But in these hawker centers, you can find all of those different ethnic dishes, and you can buy a meal for like the equivalent of $2. You can find a meal for like the equivalent of $2. So while Singapore looks expensive, it looks beautiful, the roads are clean. Singapore is so clean. Oh my goodness, I've never seen a city this clean before. Most Singapore citizens can't afford a car. They cannot afford a car. In order to own a car in Singapore, you have to first buy the right to own the car. You have to buy the permit to buy a car. And because the government tries to discourage people from buying a car, because Singapore is small. And I think already like 12% of their land is roads. They don't have any land to build more roads. So they have to limit people from buying cars. So one of the ways they do that is requiring this permit process. Well, in order to get a permit, you have to auction. You have to win the auction. Not everybody can just go buy a permit. You have to win the auction. And the auction for the permit, the price can go as high as $100,000. You haven't bought a car yet. You haven't bought a car yet. You just bought the permit to have the right to buy a car. You've already spent $100,000. And then the permit is only good for 10 years. So after you get the permit, then you get to buy the car, and then the car is expensive. So local Singapore residents, most of them, don't have a car. So they get government subsidized housing. They get the majority of their food and their shopping at the hawker centers. And they ride public transportation, which is not bad. I actually enjoyed riding the public transportation. I rode the train everywhere I go. I ride public transportation to get a feel of what the city is like. I rode the train and the buses. They're very prompt, on time, based on the schedule. The schedule says it's coming at 2:02. That bus rolling up at 2:01. I was like, ooh, this is nice. Because y'all know in DC, the bus might come at 2:15. It might not. But the public transportation is very reliable, very clean. Everything in Singapore is clean. But there's also a dark underbelly to Singapore, and it's not all the glitz and glamour that you think it is. Another thing I do not like about Singapore is the indigenous people. Well, Singapore doesn't really have any indigenous people. It's a fake country that was created And it's a relatively young country. I don't even think Singapore is 50 years old. Is it, Adelia, my history buff? Is Singapore even 50 years old? Um, but the vast majority of the people that made up Singapore were Malaysians. Singapore was part of Malaysia, right? And a lot of the Malay people, the population is shrinking. And when you go to their neighborhoods and you see the beauty of the original architecture and the original infrastructure of their community that reflects their culture. You can see it in the Malay neighborhood. You can see it in, I think the name in that, the Malay neighborhood was my most favorite neighborhood. It was called Kampong Glam. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Very colorful. Just beautiful. You can see the culture in the Indian neighborhood, and you can also see the culture in the Chinese neighborhood. But while you're standing in those neighborhoods, looking at the beauty of the culture that's surrounding you, you can also see this big ass high rise that's being built right in front of it. And the land that they own, or the land that reflects their culture, is shrinking and it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And all of the high rises, all of the modern technology, all the fancy, flashy stuff that attracts the foreigners and the visitors, all of that is getting larger. While the cultural fabric of the country is shrinking more and more. The people were so kind. Let me correct that. The Malay people were very kind to me, very helpful, very friendly. The Indian people were very kind and very friendly and very helpful. The Chinese, not so much. And I'll even correct that too. Hold on. It was more of a generational thing. And I talked to my host about it, the homeowner that I was house sitting for. Um, the elderly Chinese people weren't too fond of me. They weren't rude, they weren't racist, but there was a lot of staring. A lot of staring. Like so much staring where it was almost uncomfortable. Um when I would get on the bus, and I love the way they honor the elderly in their community. Like there's signs everywhere that reserve like places and spaces for the elderly. I love that. But just getting on the bus and the whole front of the bus will be elderly, and you could see like they would, clutch their purse a little tighter. Or if they were comfortable, you would see their body language tense up a little bit. And it was mainly the older people. So I wasn't surprised by it, because the older generations in every ethnic community are a little biased, they're a little discriminating. So I wasn't surprised by it, but it was still off-putting because a lot of the population in Singapore are elderly. A lot of them are elderly. Oh, Adelia said they were. Oh, I think they were racist. My friend that was from PR got his PhD there when I visited. I witnessed some not so great things for folks who are darker skinned. Okay. All right. Well, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. It wasn't just me. Yes, they were not too fond of me being there, especially being in a residential area where their family members lived. It didn't make me feel unsafe. Singapore is very, very clean, very safe, very easy to navigate because it's a little small city. Like you could probably get from a little small country, you probably get from one end of the country to the other in like 2 hours. Like, it's really small. Um, but I did not like it at all because of the things I learned about the country and all the glitz and glamour that a foreigner is attracted to. It's all fake. It's all fake. It's all made up. Even the trees, like they will create a garden. If there are no trees, instead of planting trees, they will just make one. Like, everything is fake. And the part of the country that I did love is shrinking. And it's almost like it's neglected. It's neglected and not prioritized. I get the vibe that Singapore is growing and it's so wealthy because of who they prioritize and what they cater to. And it's not, it's people. It's not the local people. There were a lot of foreigners there. There were a few excursions that I did, and there was always an Australian there that had just moved there. There were a couple of Americans there, white families that I met that had just moved there, had been living there like less than a year, so they were still exploring the country. So a lot of foreigners are moving there. And I feel like we're doing a disservice to the local community because Singapore is not expensive for them because they get a lot of subsidies. But when you are a country that have to give subsidies to the vast majority of your citizens, yeah. The building that I was in was a beautiful high-rise building. So I contributed to some of the things that I'm talking about, be honest. Um, but then just 2 blocks down, you see a beautiful community that just looks run down and forgotten. And because Singapore is growing and it's such a young country, they're not renovating buildings, they're not fixing them up. My host told me, and I also heard some of the guides say it too when I was on tours, is they're just tearing them down. They'll just tear them down and rebuild with something that's more modern. So it's like it's losing. Y'all get what I'm saying? I just had an icky feeling when I was in Singapore. And I was so glad that my house sit was only 10, 12 days. Because girl, as soon as that house sit was over, I was out. I was like, no, I don't want to be here. I was out. And I took a short little puddle jumper flight over to Malaysia, which is where the original Malay people are from. I love them so much. I was like, oh my goodness, I have to go to your home to truly get to experience what Malay life is like, because it wasn't in Singapore. It wasn't in Singapore. But I'm glad I went. I'm glad I got the experience. I'm glad my accommodations were free. The accommodations were free because of Trusted House Sitters, the website that I mentioned earlier. She had a little bitty old dog too. The dog was lazy as I don't know what. I like doing easy house sits, cute dogs, and it doesn't require a whole lot of work. And I saw on the listing that the dog was older, so the dog only needed like 2 walks a day to go around the block and done. They're not trying to do a whole lot of long walks. I'm like, okay, that sounds easy. I can do that. I had to bribe this dog to go on walks. The dog didn't want to go on walks. I'm like, you're not using the bathroom in this house. You better come on here. I had to have treats and pockets and in my coat pocket and my purse. I had to have treats everywhere to make the dog come out and go on the walk. We get outside, the dog do his business. We come right back in the house. Like, the dog was so easy. And it only needed to go out twice, in the morning and at night. So it was easy peasy. But yeah, so that was my experience in Singapore. I know a lot of people was asking about Singapore because I wasn't posting a lot about it, because I didn't have a lot of good things to say about it. And United States is the only country that has free speech. and I wasn't about to share my true opinions while I was still in their country. But if you decide to go to Singapore as a tourist and you're just staying for a couple of days, it's beautiful. The airport is the best airport in the world. It's beautiful. The mall that's near the marina, I think it's called the Marina Bay, absolutely beautiful. Like they have waterfalls like in the middle of the mall. They have a pool in the middle of the mall. Like all the lushness, all the glitz and glamour you can think of, you will find it in Singapore if that's your thing. That's not my thing. And $40 hamburgers is definitely not my thing. So I hopped on over to Malaysia. Malaysia was a vibe. I loved Malaysia too. Not as much as I love Bali, but I love Malaysia too because I found culture. I travel for the culture, not just for touristy type things. I found the culture and I immediately connect with locals. That's what I do. I immediately, hold on, let me back up and go back to Singapore. That should have been my sign that Singapore was not for us. There are not that many Facebook groups. If you search Black in Mexico, you're going to find about 100 Facebook groups. If you search Black people in Singapore, you're going to find 2. And I joined both, and only one was active. And the one that was active, they probably posted maybe once a week. There's a lot of people in the group, but probably only posted maybe once a week. And that one post once a week might get 2 or 3 comments. I said, this is weird. And I remember doing a post in the group and introducing myself, letting them know when I was going to arrive. And I was asking, were there any like recurring get-togethers, which usually the expats usually do something to get together when there's a community, in a foreign country. No, 2 people responded, but there was no talk about getting together. So I searched the group to see if there were any past get-togethers. That should have been my sign right there. So it's my understanding that those of us who are living there is because our jobs took us there. But I don't think any of us choose to live there just because we want to, or because it's so amazing. So take that for what you will. But Malaysia, I loved it. I love Malaysia. The culture is there. The people were so welcoming. Same pockets of people. They had the Malay community, the Indian community, and the Chinese community. Same experience with the Chinese, but because of my experience in Singapore, I kind of expected it. And I just said, they're not going to ruin my experience. Same experience. Like, I started texting some of my Chinese friends here in the States that live in San Francisco. And I was like, what's up with your people? And I was just sharing some of my experiences. They weren't surprised. They weren't surprised by anything I shared. And I had an interesting experience. I went on this one tour, and my experience with these people, I'm understanding that they're people from a certain region in China. So not all of them is what I've been told. But I find them to be very rude, very loud, very boisterous, very aggressive. And I was like, oh, who raised you? Like, what is wrong with you? And I had so many of those experiences. At first, I thought it was me. And that's why I started sharing it with my friends back here in the States that I knew were from those countries. And they were validating my experiences. They were like, yeah, that sounds about right. This is when I really knew it wasn't just me. I went on a tour. I went to this city called Malacca in Malaysia. And the spelling is similar to my name. I was like, I don't know what's in Malacca, but because I like the name of it, this is where I'm going. This is how I plan most of my trips, y'all. I just be winging it. This is where I'm going. And it was a beautiful city too. So I'm so glad I went. But you know how most cities have like a sign with the city name that you can take a picture in front of. So I was standing in line waiting to take a picture in front of Malcolm. And all the people that were on the tour with me, they knew my name. So they were excited for me to take a picture too. And people were volunteering to take my picture for me and all that kind of stuff. So we were standing in line and I get to the front of the line. And because I'm not an aggressive person and I'm patient, I get to the front of the line and I go to step up in front of the sign. And he goes, these two chicks, they just jump in front of me. And I look and I'm thinking, okay, well, maybe they were already here before I walked up and they were just standing to the side. So maybe they were next. Okay. These other ladies that was on the tour with me, they saw it and they experienced the same thing that I had been experiencing the whole trip. They was like, no. And these was white ladies. I think they were from Australia or something. They was like, no, she was in line and she was next. And then they looked at me and said, if you keep letting them do that to you, they ain't never going to stop. Don't let them do that to you because they'll do it to everybody. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't realize they were that way. I've heard comments about Chinese travelers or Black people visiting China and Chinese tourists. I've even been to some countries where when they see Chinese tourists, they like, we're not dealing with them. I'd heard about it, but I had never experienced it myself until this trip. And to hear another group of people defend me because I'm thinking it's just me and I'm thinking maybe I just need to be a little patient. No, they rude. They are rude and disrespectful. And I don't care what nobody's saying. I know I probably get dragged in my comments when this get posted, but I don't care. They're rude. It isn't just me. But when those ladies spoke up for me, they were shocked. The Chinese ladies were shocked. And they came down off of the sign and let me go. And from that moment on, I was like, okay, now I know how to deal with these people. Now I know how to do it. I ain't going to disrespect the elderly. But if you look like you in my age bracket, I'm about to get you together. I'm about to get you together. But yes, that was an interesting experience. But dealing with in my interactions with the Malay people, my interactions with the Indian people, beautiful, beautiful experience. I loved visiting their temples, the Hindu temples. I think most Malay people I think they're mostly Hindu. And then the Indian people, I'm having a brain fart, I can't remember. But I loved visiting their temples. So beautiful, so elaborate. The Indians are so colorful. Oh my goodness, I wish I could share pic. I'll post some pictures in the community. The neighborhoods are colorful. The temples are colorful. Like everything was just so, so beautiful. The food was interesting. One of the locals that I met, she took me to some of the local restaurants to have the non-westernized version of their food. It was a restaurant where she was trying to teach me how to eat with my hands. It was so hard. It was so hard. I had so many beautiful experiences in Malaysia. And my brain was like, but eating with your hands is impolite. It's like you have no manners, no culture. You're uncultured. And here she is telling me to eat with my hands and trying to teach me how to eat with my hands. And I was like, ew. She said, well, this is how we do it here. I was like, okay. And I posted it in my Instagram. If you follow me on Instagram, I post in my stories every day. I may only post in my feed 2-3 times a month, but I posted my stories every single day. And I post all of these experiences in real time. But I, dined with her and I tried eating with my hands. I think I lasted all of 2 minutes. I was like, I need a fork. I need a fork. The food was delicious. Very, very, very spicy. I had to learn how to say no spicy in their language. What else? Very affordable, safe. One thing I love about Malaysia, well, at least Kuala Lumpur. I can't speak for all of Malaysia. At least Kuala Lumpur. It reminds me of a combination of New York City and I was about to say Thailand, that's a whole country, and Chiang Mai, because it has maintained its culture, unlike Singapore, but has also become modern at the same time. Like, there is so much to do. There's so many places to go, and it's such a large city. It's not like so congested where the traffic is ridiculous and you can't get around. So not as bad as New York City, but they have the high rises. They have the infrastructure, the bus and the train system that's very elaborate, very easy to navigate. But it also has maintained its culture, and unlike Singapore, it's very affordable. It's very affordable. They have high end restaurants, medium regular type restaurants, and then they also have the not like hawker centers in Singapore, but they have restaurants where it's like people congregate to when they're eating in a group. There's a name for it. I forgot what she called it. And I was asking her, like, how do I know that's one of them? And there's like a sign, like a little symbol or a sign outside of it that indicates it's one of those things. But there are no individual tables because it's set up for like group dining. There's like the long cafeteria type tables, and those restaurants usually are lower lower cost where you'll find most of the locals eating. But it's very very affordable. Um, just so much to do, so much to do. Because the infrastructure is very modern, it kind of felt like I was home. It kind of felt like I was home. The train system is a color coded system, just like DC. So it was very easy to get around. The people were very kind, very nice, very welcoming, very friendly. There's street food like in Thailand, but then there's, your high end and your medium type and your low end, type dining establishments. I did not house sit in Malaysia. I only house sit in expensive countries. What did I do in Malaysia? Did I stayed in a hotel. I did not get an Airbnb. I stayed in a hotel. And this is how I remember how affordable Malaysia was. I thought I was booking just a regular hotel because it was so inexpensive to me. Why the hotel have a doorman and butler service and turn down service and bringing little snacks to your room in the evening before you go to bed? Have an on-site restaurant, have a pool, had a work what they call them when you work from home, like just a whole work center with the laptop spaces, had couches for you to chill out with your laptop and vibe on, had the desk, the lap desk. If you didn't want to sit at the desk, you could sit on. I was like, wait a minute, did I book the wrong place? Like, did I check into the wrong place? Like, I pay how much for this? Like, Malaysia was so affordable. It was so affordable. I stayed in two different areas um, in Malaysia, and both of them were very, very affordable. It was safe. I walked around at night. I did find the Black expat community in Malaysia. Is it someplace I would live? Probably not. I liked it a lot, but I didn't love it. And I think it was because of the Chinese experience. And even in Malaysia, similar to Singapore, the population of the Chinese is growing and the Malaysian population is shrinking. So I would not live there because of that. But in terms of the infrastructure, the safety, the walkability, like all the things that are on my criteria list of to determine, where I would want to live, Malaysia is high on that list. But I wouldn't leave the United States to go live somewhere else and still have to deal with microaggressions and racism. No. After, let me check in with the comments. I've been talking a whole lot. So I just have one more country left. Let me see what I missed. Eileen, girl, yes, a $40 burger. Singapore was hella expensive. Not to I read that. Bali had a 7.0 in August. That makes me sad. I'm glad I missed it though. I'm glad I missed it though. Yeah, Bree said interesting and disappointing. Yeah. I would not go back to Singapore again. I wouldn't discourage anyone from going just to experience it for yourself because it is a beautiful country. Beautiful, beautiful country. But I would not go back again. Adele said cars cost 2 or 3 times what they do in the US to discourage them from buying it. Yes. And that's in addition to the cost of the permit to buy the right to own a car. And the permit can cost 6 figures. It's ridiculous. Yeah. Let's see. Don't let somebody skip me a lot. There will be consequences and repercussions. I'm not trying to get locked up abroad. So I think I'm a relatively patient person already anyway. But when I'm traveling, I have more patience than normal. So I just didn't want to rock the boat. I was like, okay. Not that I was timid, but I was a little more patient than normal until those people spoke up for me. And after that, they wasn't doing it anymore because then I knew how to check them. I was like, no, you're not. No, you're not going in front of me. No, we're not doing that either. Let me see what Bray said. No, you are correct. My daughter and I had similar experience in Lisbon. Similar experiences. Yeah. So it was not just me. I have since learned that from my friends that are from China and also others that have either lived in China or that live in places where there's a large Chinese population or have experienced other Chinese tourists while they were on vacation. It's not all of them, from what I understand. It's from a certain region in China. I don't know what it is, but whatever. That was my October. In Malaysia. Absolutely loved it. Kuala Lumpur specifically. In November, I went to Thailand. Bali and Thailand, they were like bookends on my Southeast Asia tour, and they were the primary reason why I was in Southeast Asia. Thailand was an intentional trip. I'd been to Thailand multiple times before. This was actually my 3rd visit to Thailand. I love Chiang Mai. Before I met Bali, Chiang Mai was my favorite place in the world. My absolute favorite place in the world. And the reason why I went back to Thailand, because they have this event in November. They call it, the English is the Lantern Festival. And it's a festival where you just see the sky light up with lanterns. And I had read about it, and I probably saw it in a movie too. Look, movies be influencing my travel dreams. Is it just me? What influences your travel dreams? Let me know. What influences your travel dreams? How do you come up with your travel ideas and the places you want to go? But movies influence me. So I probably saw this on a movie or something like that. But the Lantern Festival, it happens on the full moon. It's like it's a very specific time of the year when it happens, and it usually lands around November. So I knew, I don't care what was going on in the world, I was going to be in Thailand in November. I didn't know when the full moon was going to be, so I didn't know how long I needed to be there. But I knew Malika was going to be in Thailand in November, specifically in Chiang Mai. And I was going to stay for as long as I needed to stay because I wanted to experience this Lantern Festival. It had been a dream of mine for years. for years. Just this idea of seeing hundreds and hundreds of lanterns just light up the sky. And then once I got there, I learned there was another festival that goes on in Chiang Mai simultaneously. And that was called, I ain't gonna jack up their words. I ain't even gonna try. But it is where they release the lanterns into the river. So the river is lit up with hundreds and hundreds of lights. And in Thai culture, aligned with the full moon, they have these rituals that's also part of their, I won't say religious beliefs, just part of their culture, where they're paying honor, they're giving honor to like the water gods or something, and they're releasing like negativity to invite positivity into their lives. And it was just such a beautiful, beautiful event. And just seeing it on TV, I was like, I want to be there. I want to be in the midst when this happens again. I want to feel the vibe. I want to see the lights. I want to release my own lantern. So that's why I went back to Thailand, and I did. I got to experience both festivals. And baby, let me tell you, that in Thailand is like what New Year's Eve is for the United States, but bigger, if you can even imagine that. Thailand starts decorating for, let me find the right word. It's I I I said it correctly when I posted about it in my Instagram post. And I think I posted it on YouTube as well in a YouTube short. Let's see. What's the correct name for it? No, no, that's not what I wanted. Kopong, what is it? I be jacking up. I be jacking up some words, y'all. I want to be respectful to the people and get it right. Loy Kathrong and Yi Pang Festival. So Loy Kathrong is where they put the floats in the water, and the Yi Pang is the lanterns in the sky. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. Releasing my float into the river, it was like having my dream come true, because that's what I've been wanting to experience for so long. Of course, I didn't have the spiritual connection to it like they did, like the locals did. It's something that's really important to them. But it was just beautiful to experience something that I had only daydreamed about. And I feel like that's what all of this year has been for me, doing things that I had only daydreamed about. So it's like my childhood dreams and desires were now reality. And it was like, wow, I did it. It was so much fun. But they start decorating for these festivals like at the beach. I landed in Thailand on November 1st. Decorations were already up. This event didn't happen until November 28th. Decorations were up all month. Every day you would see more and more decorations. It got so colorful, it got so bright. And during the festival season, the festival lasts for about 3 days. Thailand is already a very kind, very welcoming country. I think they call it the land of smiles, and they have earned their name. They have really earned their name. Thai people are just, they're just so kind and friendly. They're like Balinese people. They're so kind and so friendly and so welcoming. Um, but during this 3 day festival, they were so happy. They were so, you could feel the joy and the energy in the environment. Everyone was so friendly, the young, the middle age, and the old. It wasn't like certain populations where the old people were racist. It was like everybody was friendly, and it was just a beautiful, festive experience. And I was so glad I got to experience something that I've been daydreaming about for so long. But the second reason why I was in Thailand, and it made me equally excited, I have been wanting to learn how to meditate. I know that may sound a little weird. What do you mean? You want to learn how to meditate? You just meditate. it ain't that easy for me. I, until this experience I'm about to tell you about, I struggled with turning my brain off. Like I would download apps and try to do guided meditations and listen to the sounds or the person's voice. And while I'm doing what I think is meditation, my brain will be like, girl, did you do what was on your to-do list? What was number 3? Did you mark that off yet? Ooh, girl, did you make your grocery list? You know you gotta go to the grocery store tomorrow. Oh, there's a bird. Like I could not meditate. And one of the reasons why I wanted to learn how to meditate is because in this phase of my life, I really, really want to be intentional about prioritizing ease and prioritizing peacefulness and prioritizing rest and healing, right? And there are a lot of learned behaviors that I have that served me well throughout my life, but it's when I was in survival mode where those things were necessary and they aren't necessary now. But because I used them for so long, for 20 plus years, just because I'm free now and my life is less stressful and less tense, I I can't just turn it off like a light switch. I'm having to unlearn a lot of bad behaviors. Well, not bad behaviors. They helped me to survive when I needed them. So I won't call them bad behaviors, but I need to unlearn a lot of behaviors that no longer serve me. And I need to learn tools to help me do that. And I know that I could ground myself if I learned how to meditate, if that makes sense. Yes, yes, Eileen. Ooh, yes. Unlearn the trauma responses. Unlearn the the defensiveness. Remember when I said about my experience in Madrid? And it wasn't until I had that experience at the restaurant, then I became hyper alert about every single thing. And I started noticing it everywhere. That's a trauma response. That's defensive, being defensive because you experience racism so much, right? And being in Bali and being in Thailand, I was able to relax all of those defenses. And in this phase of my life, I don't need a lot of the defenses that I used to need because I'm not in those environments anymore. I am making a conscious effort to remove myself from those environments, and my central nervous system is trying to calm down. It has calmed down a lot, but I know it can calm down a lot more. But I have to be more intentional in unlearning those trauma responses and learning the tools to show me how. Because, sis, even when you become free, even when you take your sabbatical, even when you quit that toxic job, there are learned behaviors that you've developed. You're going to have to make a conscious effort to unlearn those behaviors. I'm in therapy. I pray. I'm trying to gather all the tools I can to help me throughout the transition. And it's not easy. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not a quick thing. But the more clarity I have, the more aware I am of my triggers, and I need the tools to help me manage them as I'm unlearning these trauma responses, right? So this is like year 1 for me. It's been a whole year. Well, I technically haven't worked since May 2022, but this is my first full year, 2023, my first full calendar year of freedom, and I'm still unlearning trauma responses. So it's going to take time, but your body and your brain is not a light switch. Just because you're no longer at that toxic job anymore, just because you're no longer in racist America anymore, just because you're no longer in those environments, you're going to experience some of the benefits of no longer being in those environments. And I think those benefits are priceless. But after you exhale and woosah, you're going to notice that you still have a lot of those learned behaviors that you're taking with you to those safer places, to those safer spaces. And you may have to be more intentional about releasing that because you don't need that shield anymore. You don't need that armor anymore. Now, it may still be useful when you come back to the United States to visit. But when I'm in Bali, when I'm in Chiang Mai, Thailand, I no longer needed that armor. So I'm trying to learn tools to help me unlearn those trauma responses and to help me truly, truly relax my central nervous system. So I say all that to say the second reason why I was in Bali, I attended a meditation retreat that was taught by Buddhist monks. And it was the most beautiful experience ever. I did a 3-day retreat with Buddhist monks. And when the retreat kicked off, it was actually a lecture that I didn't expect. That was a pleasant surprise. It was actually a lecture that was taught by a monk to teach us the fundamentals of Thai culture. Like it's so amazing to me as a Westerner that you can have a whole culture of people and they're all kind. They're all patient. They're all friendly. Like when you're from the United States, that's so foreign. We have some nice people. We have some kind people. But out of 10, at least 3 of them gonna be like, who raised you? You know what I mean? So to go to a country where everyone, the vast majority of the people are so kind, it's like really weird. But anyway, the lecture part of the retreat, he taught us about Thai culture. He taught us about Buddhism. I did a post in my Instagram where I shared like 2 or 3 takeaways from the retreat. And the first takeaway was I learned that Buddhism is not a religion. It's a philosophy. I didn't know that. He explained that there are Christian Buddhists. I was like, what? What? It's like they still have their beliefs and their doctrines rooted in Christianity, but the philosophy that they follow and their way of life, they practice some Buddhism principles. Thought that was interesting. And he was like, we don't have a God. We don't praise Buddha. That was surprising to me. I thought the big fat man, that sit with the legs crossed, I thought that's who they pray to because you see him bowing all the time. He broke down all the misconceptions. He broke down all the ignorant Western beliefs that we have about Buddhism. And it was very interesting, very enlightening. So that's how the retreat kicked off. And then he explained the purpose of meditation, the different types of meditation. And this meditation that we learned at this retreat was I keep jacking up words, y'all. I'm sorry. Vinyasa. I want to say vinyasa. It's probably wrong, but Vin something. And he explained to us the different ways that you can meditate. So he did it in a lecture form before we actually went to the retreat center. I had some hesitations at first because my Western lens and then also my Christian beliefs was like, where they taking you and what they doing and what that mean, girl? Don't do that, girl. I had all kinds of hesitations at first, but I had an open mind. I went there with intention and I trust and have faith that I will not receive anything that isn't for me. I'll just say that. So we end up having to load the Vipassana. Yes, thank you, Eileen. Thank you. Vipassana. Okay, yes, that's what it was. I knew it started with a V. We had to load this vehicle, and where the actual retreat was like an hour and a half away. I didn't know that. I was like, oh my God, where are they taking us? It's like an hour and a half away. So we walk into We get out of the vehicles with our luggage, and this place that they take us to is very minimalist. Very minimalist. I expected that because I knew that monks didn't really live with modern technology. Um, Surprisingly, monks do have cell phones and they do have social media. um, but it was very minimalist. It kind of put me in a mind of like, have you ever watched like a prison, like a prison show where it's like everything is like in a square with the courtyard in the middle, but then the like a low security type prison. That's kind of what it reminded me of. So we get there, we all check in, and we're given these uniforms. We were not allowed to wear our own clothes. We had to wear all white, and we were given the white tops and the white bottoms. And we were given the key to our room that we were assigned to. And the room was very, very minimalist. There were no sheets on the bed. There was a sheet and a blanket and a pillow that was at the end of the bed. You had to make your own bed. There was no soap. There was no toilet paper. There was nothing. You had to bring all that yourself. Very minimalist. It kind of also reminded me, like, I imagine what a low security prison room would look like. Nothing in there but a bed and a little armoire for you to put your clothes in. That's it. um, I was there for 3 days. I did not know it was a silent retreat. So everywhere I turned, I was getting shocked. I was like, ooh, I don't know about this. I couldn't leave. I was an hour and a half away from the city. I didn't even know where I was, so I couldn't leave. So this experience became more and more interesting as we went along. But I share all this to say I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed it because I learned how to be more mindful about everything I do. Because meditation and Buddhism in general is about mindfulness. Mindfulness about everything. Mindfulness about the way you eat, how much you eat, how fast you eat. They provided 3 meals a day for all of us, although monks only eat twice a day. Monks eat their first meal at like 7 a.m. and they take their last meal at noon. But they did provide 3 meals a day for us. But even while we were eating, because most of us were Westerners, we do what Westerners do. We do everything fast. We do everything in a rush. And he kept having to correct us and remind us there's enough. Be mindful. Only take what you need. Like as Americans, we pile up our plate. We put so much on our plate. Even in restaurants, they pile up our plate with serving sizes that are like so ridiculous. You can't eat it in one sitting. And he would have to remind us, only put on your plate what you are going to eat. He would have to remind us to take our time walking up to where the food was. He would have to remind us to eat slowly, eat mindfully. And he would go so far as to give us mental cues on pay attention to the way you chew. Pay attention to the way you swallow. Feel the food going down. It was like he reminded us to be mindful about every little thing. And it made me realize the way of life in our culture in the United States that we've normalized. That's why we're so freaking stressed. That's why we're so stressed out all the time. And listening to him speak and listening to his reminders about mindfulness, it forced all of us to slow down. And when we would sit down to eat, we were not allowed to eat until everyone had their food and they were seated and we all ate together. But when you were done, you can be done, but you couldn't start until everyone started. We had to be mindful about how we walked, like walking from the meditation center to the food hall. We couldn't rush. We couldn't rush and walk really fast. We had to, he taught us walking meditation. I didn't even know that was a thing. I walking meditate. You can meditate while you're walking. There is a walking meditation. And we had to be mindful about, so mindful, where there was like a chant that he was doing that will say, right foot up, right foot down, left foot up. For a Western mind, I was like, you talking too slow for me. I got to go. I got to get there. Why? What's the rush? Why we rush about everything? Day one was uncomfortable for me. Day one was uncomfortable for me. I was like, I don't know about this, but I can't go home because I don't know where I'm at. By day two, I was like, I like this. I can vibe with this. I like this mindfulness. Mindfulness about the way you eat, the way you walk. Even like when we had to get up at 5 o'clock every morning. We were not allowed to use our cell phones, our electronics. We were not allowed to use them. So we couldn't set an alarm. The way of waking everyone up, he would hit it's kind of like a gong, but I'm sure that's not what they call it. But it's kind of like a gong, but it didn't gong loud, like scare you loud. It was like a vibration of sound that kind of moved through the whole compound. And you just knew to get up. And he would tell us, and when you hear it, don't rush. He didn't want us to rush about anything. Don't rush. As an American, we jump up to an alarm clock scaring us to death. We got to go to work. Oh my goodness, we late. We got to take a shower real quick. We got to eat real quick with stuff and food down there. Like all the things about our culture is what perpetuates stress. And he would tell us, when you hear it, it's just your awareness. I just want to make you aware that our day is starting. So just get up slowly. Get up slowly. Whatever your morning routine is, take a shower, get dressed, have your coffee, your tea, whatever. Get up slowly. And we had plenty of time to do what we needed to do to get ready before our first meditation. And then when he wanted us to come over to the meditation center, he would ring the little thing again. And at first, that was weird to me because it felt like Pavlov dogs. Like you hear a noise and you respond to the noise. So he would hit the gong. We would know, okay, it's time to go do this. So when he would make the noise, okay, it's time to go eat or it's time to go meditate. Like it was really weird at first. But by day 3, it's like I was so relaxed and so mindful about everything I was doing. It took work. It took mental work because I walk fast or I eat fast. This is 40 plus years of habit. I couldn't reverse that in 3 days. But the mindfulness, I would self-correct. I would catch myself and put my fork down because I'm still chewing. Or I would drink and not feel like I have to gulp it all down because I'm in a rush because I got to get to a meeting in 5 minutes. I was taking my time. And when I would hear the noise that creeped me out at first, I wouldn't like respond to it right away. Like, oh my goodness, I got to be over here at the meditation center. I would just hear it. And whatever I was doing, I would finish what I was doing, but finish it mindfully and then go over to wherever we were summoned. And by day 3, and I have pictures that I posted. I don't think I posted these creepy pictures because they still creep me out. But I have pictures where, because we're all dressed in white and we're all being mindful of our movements. And the only reason why I have pictures is because the monks took pictures of us. And because we didn't have our devices and they knew we would want some pictures and video and memory of the experience. So they took pictures for us, and we're all in a WhatsApp thing, and he just dropped them in the WhatsApp. But there's one video where we kind of look like zombies because we're dressed in all white. We're walking in this uniform single file line, and we're walking very slowly. That's because in Buddhism, mindfulness is important as well as orderly. Being orderly and structured is important. It's discipline. And discipline is important with meditation. He was so orderly about everything. There were certain places when we walked into, especially in a temple, we had to take off our shoes. That's normal all over Thailand. When we took off our shoes, we couldn't just take off our shoes and just throw them to the side. Our shoes had to be lined up in an orderly fashion. We had to be mindful about where we placed our shoes. And that was such a great exercise. In hindsight, I see why he did it. It was a great exercise to prepare us for the meditation. Because when you're meditating, you have to be mindful about what you're doing. And the biggest takeaway for me about meditation is that I used to think I was meditating wrong. I was doing it wrong. I'm always overthinking stuff. Like if you're meditating and your mind wanders, I would think, oh, I'm doing it wrong. I don't know how to meditate. Or I'm not meditating anymore because my mind is distracted. Let me just stop. Let me quit and go do whatever it is my mind is thinking about. No. What he taught us is being mindful about everything, even the distracting thought. So if I'm meditating now and I'm thinking about, I don't know, Christmas, what's going to happen on Christmas Day, what my family and I is going to do, what the family is going to do. It's a distracting thought that may break my meditation, but I'm supposed to acknowledge the thought and just let it flow. I used to think if I had a distracting thought, I'm not meditating or I'm meditating wrong. That's not true. But the more you practice mindfulness and the more you practice being aware of your thoughts and letting them flow without, what's the word he used? Don't dwell on them. So when you have a negative thought or a negative feeling or negative, because sitting in the proper meditation phase, my feet was getting numb, my lower back was hurting. And he would say, be mindful about what you feel. Allow yourself to feel the feeling, but don't dwell on it. Let it flow. And that was so foreign to me on day one and part of day two. I was like, dude, I'm hurting. Huh? What you mean let it flow? I'm about to get up. But by day three, I would feel the feeling, but I wouldn't dwell on it. And I would refocus my mind on the meditation and the tools that he gave us to refocus. And then the pain would just go away, or the numbness in my foot would just go away. And day one, I could only meditate for like 5 minutes, if that long. By day three, I was meditating for like an hour. And I would be annoyed when he would ring the gong and the meditation period would be over. I'm like, wow, I could really do this. But he taught us like 5 different ways to meditate. And now I have tools to calm my mind, to help me to ground myself when I'm stressed out, to help me to recenter when I feel like I've gotten too far off track and my central nervous system is not relaxed. I'm feeling disturbed. I have a tool now that can help me be mindful. So that 3-day experience that includes although very minimalist, that includes the accommodation, that includes 3 meals a day. And the food was pretty good. I was like, oh, this is good. I thought I did not like pad thai. I had tried pad thai from a whole bunch of different places. Did not like them. The pad thai that the monks made for us, that was good. I don't know what they did differently, but now I realize I like pad thai the way they made it. I just need to figure out how they made it and try to find it that way. But accommodations, the transportation from the city, that was an hour, 3 hours round trip, 3 meals a day for 3 days, plus the lecture, the learning, and the meditation retreat. All of that was the equivalent of about, it was 2,500 baht. So what is that? That's equivalent of about 40 $40, I think. Hold on. 2,500 baht. No, that's $72. 72. Oh, and it also includes the clothes. So we got to keep the clothes, the white clothes that they gave us. So that's $72 for 3 days to walk away with a tool that can help you to recenter your life and to restore your peace. It was priceless for me. So the Loy Krathong Festival and the Buddhist meditation retreat, I got everything I needed from Thailand. I got everything I need. Thailand don't have to give me nothing else. I would love that place forever. Ever, ever. Ever, ever. It was such a beautiful experience, such a memorable experience. Would I live in Thailand? Yes. Is Thailand safe for Black women? Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Are there any, is there anything negative I can think about Thailand? Other than the heat, I don't mind the heat that's not high five in the sun type heat. My body actually likes humidity because of the bone issues that I have, the joint issues that I have. So humidity helps me to feel more flexible. So other than the heat, maybe that could be a negative for someone that doesn't like the heat. It's freaking far. So if your family is in the United States, that flight, if I move to Southeast Asia, I probably won't be coming home at all. Maybe once a year, if that. That flight is not a joke, and it's expensive. But in terms of in Bali, the people are friendly, the food is good. I mean, not Bali. We're not. That tells you how much I love Bali, right? We're not even talking about Bali anymore. Thailand. In terms of being in Thailand, I have been to several regions in Thailand. I've been to Bangkok. I've been to Pattaya. I've been to Phuket. I've been to. This was my third visit to Thailand. So I had been other places, but on this trip, I only went to Chiang Mai because I was very, very intentional about why I was there. So I stayed in Chiang Mai the whole time. But the people, the culture, the food, the infrastructure, Thailand is very unlike Bali. Thailand has very modern infrastructure. Very easy to get around. It has traffic too, but not nowhere near as bad as Bali. Chiang Mai is near the mountains, so it's a little cooler. It's not as hot as the southern part of the country. Chiang Mai is in the north. One downside of Chiang Mai, which I've never experienced because I've never been in the country during that time of year, but from January through, it can last as late as May, but it usually starts in January around April, but it can go into May. They have what's called burning season. So they don't have like a sewage system like the way we have here in the United States. So they just burn. They just burn their trash. They burn their crops. They burn everything. So in the northern part of the country where Chiang Mai is during that time of year, the air quality is very, very low, very low. Like it can limit the distance that you can see type low. A lot of expats that live in Chiang Mai, they leave during the time of year and either go further south or just leave the country completely. That can be a little inconvenient. for someone, especially if you adapt to Thailand's way of life and their inexpensive cost of living and you don't have the funds to leave for several months every single year. So that's a downside to Chiang Mai. But other than that, I cannot think of anything I don't like about Chiang Mai or Thailand in general. I love it. I love it. I could never live in Bangkok. I like visiting Bangkok, but I wouldn't live in Bangkok because I'm not a big city girl, which sounds really weird because I was born and raised in a big city, and I also lived in a big city for the majority of my career. But I'm over big cities now, so Bangkok is like New York to me. Uh, Great to visit, great to vacation, but it's not a place that I would want to live. Um, do y'all have any questions about Thailand or Chiang Mai or the things I experienced? Oh, the other thing I experienced while I was there, I did a Thai photo shoot in traditional Thai clothing. It was such a beautiful, beautiful experience. I know y'all saw those pictures because I posted some on my YouTube community tab as well. That was such a beautiful experience. Walking around Thailand in their Thai clothes. First of all, the company did an amazing job with my outfit. I just told them I love pink. Yes, Eileen, that was a pink. Yes, I just told them well, I did pink everywhere in all of my photo shoots, so I'm not sure which dress you're talking about because I did a pink dress in Bali too. But my Thai outfit was also pink. I just told them I like pink, and they pulled it together. And with me being plus size, I don't know if you consider me plus size, but yeah, I'm plus size. With me being plus size, I was a little concerned. I didn't think they would be able to find something for me to wear. They was like, "Oh, sure. We have no worries, no worries." And those ladies did their thing. The outfit was so beautiful. As I was walking around Thailand, I had hired a photographer to just, take me around different beautiful places in the city to take pictures of me. And everyone was like, "Oh, so beautiful, so beautiful." I was like, "Oh, the Thai people were so, so kind." Little girls was following me around. They thought I was a Disney princess. I'm like, you know good well ain't no Disney princess. But they was following me around and would not leave me alone. They was getting in the way. My photographer trying to get a shot, and the little girls running up to me. It was so cute. It was so cute. And they wouldn't stop until I took a picture with them. It was so adorable. But that was a great experience too. But I absolutely love Thailand. I absolutely love Thailand. Yes, with the scarf over one shoulder, and I took a picture with the girls. Yes, that outfit. Yeah. Yeah, great experience. Great experience. So how much did I spend? I know that's what y'all are waiting for. Oh, and my December trip was canceled. I was supposed to go to Egypt for my birthday. I am supposed to be in Egypt right now. That was going to be my final part of my world tour for 2023. But the person I was traveling with wasn't comfortable going to Egypt, considering what's going on in the bordering country. Completely understandable. We had cancellation insurance. We had double insurance. We had the cancellation insurance, and then we had the cancel for any reason insurance. And then I also have my insurance, my Nomad insurance. So we was able to get refunds, and what wasn't refunded, we was able to get it credited. So hopefully, one day I'll get to Egypt. I've never been, but that was supposed to be my December trip, my birthday trip. And that's why I am here in the United States for my birthday. I am very rarely home for Christmas. But I look forward to spending this year with my family because I rarely do. But what you all are waiting for, how much did I spend? So after being in Mexico for 2 months, going to the Usher concert, being in California, going to several areas in Costa Rica, several areas in Panama, coming back home to the United States after I was freaked out about the earthquake, spending the summer in London, going to Spain, Barcelona, and Madrid, spending a month in Bali, Indonesia, then going to Singapore and going to Malaysia, and then spending another month in Thailand. How much do you think all of that cost? Tell me in the comments. Tell me in the comments, how much do you think all of that costs? Based on what you know of me and what you know of my quality preferences and the experiences that I had, how much do you think all of that costs? I'll share, but I want to see what you say first. You have any guesses in the comments? Have y'all bought your Making Money Babies mug? You can go to the shop, click the tab in the shop to get your Making Money Babies mug. And the one that is for sale doesn't have this other image. So I'm showing this to you, but it's not on the mugs that are for sale. But on the back of mine, I have this image on it. It's a background with money. Got the baby bigger in the middle. I think that's so cute. So I see a few guesses coming in. Kalina said, oh, wait, I missed one. Okay. Eileen says, Kalina, 20,000. Eileen says she'll lowball and say 50,000 since I did house sitting at a few places. Miss Harriet said 10,000. Alexandria said 35,000. Okay. Janella said 18,000. Okay. Any other guesses? All right. Bree, 10,000. Okay. L said 25,000. Okay. So we have a range between 10,000 and 35,000. Y'all are in the ballpark. You're in the ballpark. That's a wide range though, but you're in the ballpark. All right. One more guess. Okay. Renita says 30,000. Okay. All right. I'll go ahead and tell y'all. Let me pull up my spreadsheet, my trusty spreadsheet. I spent exactly. Miss B said 35,000. Okay, I see you, Miss B. All right, drum roll, please. I spent $34,625. So those who said 35,000 were the closest. Miss B and Alexandria. I spent $34,625. And that does not include, I subtracted all of my, because I have a spreadsheet where I track all of my expenses. So I subtracted all of my personal type expenses that I would spend money on no matter where I am in the world. I subtracted expenses, things that I bought when I was here in the States, just chilling, just doing nothing, like at my mama's house or something like that. So those were expenses that were solely related to travel. So 1 year of travel. If you're anything like me, if you think you have a similar quality of life as me, if you think you have similar standards as me, if you have bucket list experiences that you want to fulfill, 10 countries, travel for a whole year, $34,625. That's about what you can expect to spend. I do not stay in hostels. No, ma'am. I do not do the only type of work type stuff I do is the house sitting. But even with house sitting, I'm still very particular about the type of house sits I'll do. I prefer house sits with no pets, preferably. You want me to water some plants? You want me to let in your housekeeper? You want me to make sure the gardener does his thing? I can do that. But even if you have pets, you still got to be a cute pet. And I only do dogs. I'm allergic to cats, so I do not house sit cats. Although I've heard that cat sitting is easier when you're traveling. I've heard it's a lot easier to travel because cats don't require walks. Cats don't require all the time consuming maintenance that dogs require. So I get it. A lot of full time house sitters I know prefer cats because they say they're easier. But I'm allergic, so I can't do cats. But cute dogs all the way. The smaller, the better. And I just take them with me. I just take them with me. All right, let me answer your questions. Miss Harriet, was that what you expected? Yes, that came within the ballpark. I expect my max that I plan to spend is aligned with it probably needs to be revisited, but it's aligned with what I typically spend in a regular year. So when I was working, when I had regular expenses, I would spend about $60,000 a year. So I plan my retired life based on that because that's the way I invested. That's the way I plan to reach fire. So I plan to spend about 60,000. So if I spend less than that, great. And that's one of the reasons why I don't limit myself to just lower cost of living countries, or I don't limit what I can do, what I can't do, because I know I have so much wiggle room because there are a lot of expenses that I had when I was working that I no longer have anymore, but I still allow myself that ceiling. So in the worst case scenario, I can spend up to about 60,000 a year. How does that break down between accommodation and travel costs? You have to join the VIP membership for that. So next Friday after the regular live, I'm going to do a VIP members only live to share the breakdown and all of those details. I loved Egypt. You will enjoy when you're able to go. I am so looking forward to it. Although I have also seen, those TikTok videos that say, what they say, social media and then reality. So I've seen a lot of TikTok. Anytime I'm going someplace, I fall down the rabbit hole of TikTok and I save a bunch of videos, especially from the travel influencers that share information about their country. But I've seen a lot of TikTok social media versus reality type videos in Egypt. So is a lot of what we see and what makes us excited about visiting, is that not what it really is? But I'm excited. I've never been. I'm so excited. I do plan to go one day, but I understand why my travel partner didn't want to take the trip. Completely understandable, because the further they push the Palestinians down in the south of Gaza, they're pushing them further out of the country, and a lot of them are fleeing over to Egypt, for that Gaza Strip, and where the violence is occurring is a little too close to comfort for her. And also, we don't discount what could possibly happen at that border or across the border. You never know. You never know. So, yeah, it's unfortunate, but I'll get there one day. Yeah, I'll get there one day. Travel costs, airlines, trains, buses. Yes. I won't promise that I will break down that level of detail in the VIP only live. I don't even think I tracked it that separately. Did I? Hold on. How did I track? I probably did. Let's see, with transportation. Yeah, so I track flights, I track rental cars, I track ride share slash private driver, gas slash parking, and then public transportation. So I don't separate trains and buses. I have that all lumped under public transportation. But I do have my flight costs separately. So yeah, so I will share all of those details in the VIP only live. If you want to join the VIP, click that join button right below the video. Right below the video. How much time was spent in the house sits? When I was in London, the first house sit was, the app keeps track of that for me. I'll be able to tell you for sure. I want to say the first house sit was like 3 weeks. It may have been a whole month. Let me see. My sits, view all past sits. Actually, it was almost a whole month. It was August 6th to the 29th. So what is that? 3.5 weeks was the first one. And then the second one was almost 2 weeks. The second one was almost 2 weeks. And then I had a week in between with no house sit. So yeah, I actually really enjoy house sitting. As long as you're very particular about the type of house sits you want to do and you're very selective about them and you stick to your standards, you'll have some really, really good experience. I have heard the horror stories and I sympathize with my sisters. Like there was one sister in the group that was sharing her experience where she showed up to the house sit and the homeowner didn't tell her that I think the dog was sick or they had changed the dog's food or something like that. The dog had diarrhea the whole house sit. And she was having to clean that mess up and had to take the dog to the vet. And then the homeowners weren't coming home. She was having to give the dog medicine. And child, they would have to pay me for all that. You know what? I take that back. Ain't enough money in the world you can pay me to have me doing all that. To listen, if I call you and tell you your dog's sick and pooping all over the place, that you got a couple of days notice to figure out a plan B. Because I ain't signing up for all this, especially when you know you did something before you left to cause this to happen. So I've heard the horror stories. I consider myself lucky, I guess. I've had very, very wonderful, wonderful experiences. I really consider myself lucky. Let's see. I heard you can plant. Yeah, I heard you can plant sit too. Yes, who knew? Yeah. So my first house sit, they had no pets. They had no pets. So I had to water the plants, and I felt so bad because one of them died. Well, not died. They started wilting, and I sent her a picture, and I apologized, and she said it's okay. It's so hot. It's so difficult to keep them alive. And then she told me what to do because apparently I was overwatering them. She told me what to do because it was a special kind of plant. I guess that was different from the others, and I just followed her instructions precisely, and it magically woke back up. I don't know what kind of plant it was, but yeah, you can plant sit. There's a house sit that's here in DC that I saved to my favorites because, and it's two guys. When they go on vacation again, I want a house sit for them. Their house, first of all, gay men, their style, their decor is beautiful. The house is absolutely amazing, but they have plants everywhere. And based on the reviews, they provide detailed instructions on how to take care of their babies. But I just want to house sit for them because they got a nice house. And I'm living right here in DC. I will house sit right here at home, just stay in their house because it's beautiful. But yes, you can plant sit. Mm-hmm. You can plant sit. Yeah, I have separate tasks for lodging, transportation, food, and recreation. Yeah, I have well, I track in an app. I do transfer the totals to a spreadsheet so I can see everything all at once together. But I have y'all don't want to know everything I track. Y'all could be like, she is insane. Why do you track all that? I I track yeah. I track food separately. So my dining out from groceries. I track self-care. I track fun. I track how much I spend when I shop. I track shopping separately, shopping for me and shopping for gifts that I buy for other people. I track, of course, all my bills, all my different savings and investing. I track miscellaneous fees like ATM fees because my bank account reimburses ATM fees. So I want to make sure that I'm reimbursed properly. So I track fees. I have a different section where I track all of my business expenses, the systems that I pay for, any transaction fees when people pay with credit cards, my website hosting and maintenance, any contractors that I hire to do anything for me. I track all of my business stuff too. Airbnb, I track that separately from hotels. Um, Track I mentioned the transportation already. With fun stuff, I track group trips separately from tours and excursions. I also track fun that I have with my family and friends that's not vacation related. I have a list of things that I track that's medical related. So yeah, this is. I don't know if y'all can see this. My ring light is making it hard to see. Yeah, I track a lot of stuff, and I'll share all the deets in the VIP only live. If you want to join the VIP besties, hit that join button at the bottom of the video. And like I mentioned, all of the funds go towards all of the money received from the membership and the merch goes towards the scholarship fund. Let's see. Hello. Holiday stuff has me missing out on lives. Hope y'all doing great. Hey, Jan. Hey, girl. Hey. Not a good time for Egypt right now. Yeah. Understandable. Although I do follow a few people that are in Egypt right now, and I'll be looking at their pictures, daydreaming. You're looking at their pictures, daydreaming. What expense app do you use? I use every dollar. I use every dollar. If you watch the video I posted called 5 Resources That You Need for Financial Independence, I shared all the things that I use in that video. But the app I use to track my expenses is the Every Dollar app. Every Dollar, all one word. And it's if you have an iPhone, the icon for the app is like a green. What is it? It's like a green square with a dollar bill on top of it. Yes, would love to know the expense tracking app now that Mint is shutting down. I never did like Mint. I've never used Mint. Yes, I use Every Dollar, Shalonda, the Every Dollar app. Okay. All right. I think I answered all of the questions. But yes, 1 year of travel for $34,625. But if you are interested in watching more videos about my travels and my life after retiring early, I have a playlist on the channel called Life After Fire. I'll try to link that in the card or in the end screen, whatever YouTube will allow me to do. Let's see, Renita would like to join VIP. How is it labeled on your page? So it's on the YouTube video. So the video that you're watching right now, if you look below the video, there should be a join button. So when you click the join button, there's 2 levels of membership. One is Financial Besties and one is Financial Besties VIP. So the VIP is where I will do private live streams and share the behind the curtains of my finances. Let me know if you see it. Hold on, I'll drop the link. I'll drop the link. Just a second. I really need to have all of these linked already when I start going live. Sorry to be unorganized. Next year, I'm gonna be better, y'all. I'm gonna be better next year. I'm gonna be more organized, I promise. I promise. Let's see. Here we go. Join the membership. Oh, I spelled join wrong. There we go. Here we go. Join the membership. It's too much to remember from the screen, but it's linked there in the comments. You can click the link in the comment. Yeah. But I only do the lives for the VIP membership. Okay. And thank you, Miss Harriet. My first year of early retirement. I'll do a separate video on some reflections, because I've had some challenges, some things I have learned from, some things that I would like future early retirees to know. I would like to warn you about so that you can be prepared for them. I did a video back in May about some lessons learned from early retirement. But now that I've had a full year of experience, a full year of freedom, a full year of doing whatever I want to do, I can update that video to share a little more about what I have experienced so that you all are prepared when you get on the other side. He said, more, you're running this thing called life. More what? What did I say? What did I say more about? Yes, girl, I am enjoying this thing called life. I just need to focus on prioritizing my health now. And that's my physical health and my mental health. That's what is going to be my priority for 2024. In terms of, more organized. In terms of where I'm going in 2024, I'll do a separate video on that. But for now, I'm going to let you all go. I am getting on the road in the morning to drive to my mama's house for the holiday. I'm in the DC area. My mama lives down south. So I am going to be doing a little 4-hour road trip after I pick up my mini me. And we're going to head south. But if you want to learn how to invest, I want to make sure I tell you guys this before I go. If you want to learn how to invest, if one of your goals in 2024 is to get your money right so you can make some money babies, I have a investor starter kit that I've already linked in the description box. Download your investor starter kit so you can get started now. That's something you can start doing now. But in 2024, I am going to open enrollment for Invest with Ease again. It's important for you to at least know the basics on how to get started so that you're ready for Invest with Ease when I open enrollment. And also when you download that starter kit, it will put you on my email list so you can be informed when I open enrollment for Invest with Ease. And the reason why you want to be on that email list is because that's where I share exclusive bonuses. Now, I will announce open enrollment to you first, but I will also announce it publicly. But I keep the cohort small. Anyone that's been in Invest with Ease knows that the cohort is small, and it's because it enhances your learning when we're in a smaller, intimate environment, and I make sure I can answer all of your questions. So the seats may fill up, so I offer it to my email list first, and I offer the exclusive bonuses only to my email list. Even when I share open enrollment publicly, I do not share the bonuses publicly. And those who were in the last cohort of Invest with Ease, there was one bonus that you received that I'm never, ever, ever going to offer again. And you're aware of that one already. So get on the email list so you can get the exclusive bonuses. And I think I'm going to send out something special for my birthday. My birthday is Sunday. So you might get a special email if you're already on the email list. But that starter kit is free. And the link is already in the description. So go ahead and download it and get started on your financial goals early. All right, besties, have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas. Continue learning, continue investing if you are already. I appreciate your support. I love you guys so, so very much. But I will talk to you next Friday. All right? Bye for now.